Guys, what's going on? What is going on? guys. So, guys, I dropped the link for anyone who's coming up, guys, because tonight we're talking about World War II, right? Now, guys, I believe that I'm going to do Discord members only for a good chunk of the stream. And the chat might even go members only. I don't know, guys. Guys, we'll see how the chat goes, right? If it gets too crazy, guys, then the chat might go members only, right? We'll see, guys. We will see. So, guys, if you want to join, guys, just go to Discord, right? And we'll do that. But let's see. Lenny, Matthew, what's up, guys?
Hey, how's it going, man? Thanks for having me.
Good, man. Good. So, guys, anyone who's coming up, guys, go to the Discord. Guys, mods, any of you mods, guys, I need you guys to be hyper vigilant, right? Once again, guys, come on. No swearing, no craziness, guys. You know, guys, you have to call the German guy mustache man. You know what I'm saying? Come on, guys. Guys, I will have more conversations like this. But I really need you guys to code your language, all right? Guys, I don't ask for much, you know, but the mods will be getting people, all right? So, guys, please. Laughing Man, what's up, dude? Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you as usual. There you are. Keyshawn, what's up, dude? He says, I think 304's they should be in the military. I don't think they should be in the military. Oh, yeah, guys, I don't think that women should be in the military at all. So, Cruising, what's up, man? Let's see here. Who else do we have? David's here. Steve's here. Good to see you guys, man. Equilibrium, what's up, man? John Carlo's here. Jameson's here. What's up, guys? Let's see here. Guys, let's break some news first. Then we will get to where we're supposed to go. Let's see here. Okay, here. Guys, let's break some news first.
The state lawmaker and her adult daughter are under police investigation tonight for allegedly testing the security at Maryville High School just days after a student was killed there.
What?
Thanks for joining us tonight, and welcome to 12 News at 6.
He can get it. Homegirl on the left, man. How you doing? Look at that. You know, guys, we're on a roll here.
She's like all these babes. You get their pilot lit, they can suck start on the floor.
Guys, I have a lot of background noise from someone, some clicking or something. I don't know who it is. So, yeah.
I'm Mark Curtis.
And I'm Kadiba Divine. There were numerous calls for both women to leave public office. 12 News journalist Craig Harris has more.
They're both public office. And doesn't this guy look like Timu Robin Williams? Right?
Yeah, he does.
He looks like Dollar Store Robin Williams.
From the school.
Good evening. We spent much of today.
Yeah, guys, I'll be dropping clips from Devil's Advocate's appearance over the next couple of days because we had some really good discussions. You know, Richard Brown, what's up, dude? Guys, once again, guys, there's so many other different red pill creators, guys. Once again, guys, we don't have to agree. I think Devil's Advocate and we agree on like 95% of everything. You know what I'm saying? Like mostly everything. Even if he and I got to a point to where we disagreed, we could still find common ground. Guys, it's the wokes and the feminists who always try and disqualify each other based on one thing. It's ridiculous.
Trying to track down State Representative Lydia Hernandez and her daughter Cassandra. They are being accused of a serious crime and are losing support from fellow Democrats. This all started Monday when the mother and daughter tried to enter Maryville High School with a box cutter knife, according to the Phoenix Union High School District. They allegedly were.
Look at that! So they knowingly brought a bladed weapon. What, to prove some kind of point? Why are they so stupid, guys? Why? What are they doing? This is like the one chick that was like, if you can't let trans people into your bathrooms, then black people can't use my water fountains. Like, you didn't think that through, did you?
Some people are really fucking stupid.
Trying to test security measures after last week's fatal stabbing of a student. That set off security measures, and they were escorted off campus.
So their whole point was that, so we're going to show you and prove a point. The security is not good enough, so we're going to bring a knife into the school.
The entitlement level over 9,000, dude, as usual.
Look at that. Yeah, guys, don't elect 304.
Some people are really fucking stupid.
Clown world. That's such a chick thing to do, too, right?
Today, Phoenix police told us it has opened an investigation into the matter, but did not provide additional details. The mother and daughter also are on the board of the Cartwright School District, which feeds into the Phoenix Union High School District. Two Phoenix City Councilwomen and Democrats in the
whole lot of tortas in this
legislature have been highly critical of Lydia Hernandez, including one who said she should resign. City Councilwoman Ana Hernandez, a former lawmaker, was stunned at what the Hernandez were accused of doing.
This just shows her callousness towards those families, and to do this is just opening that wound. It's re-traumatizing that.
I can't understand a word she's saying, AJ.
Yeah, sorry, guys. I gotta. What did you think, Councilwoman? And this guy here, does this even count as a comb over? Like, what is this? You know what I mean?
Tom Horn, a Republican, called for them to resign from the Cartwright School Board. We went to two Central Phoenix homes that public records showed where they were living. We were unsuccessful in reaching them. We also tried to talk to the...
All right, hold on, guys. Some Microsoft employees...
When I joined this company as a software engineer...
Of course. So, guys, Microsoft fires 4 employees after on-campus protests. You knew they were going to look like this, right?
Yeah. Well,
and
you see she's wearing that keffiyeh, too.
Yeah, guys, do you guys know what the keffiyeh is from?
Well, I know that it actually is not Palestinian in origin. It was adopted by the Palestinians.
It's Iraqi. It's the southern marsh fishermen of Iraq.
Really?
You understand? Yeah. If you look in the 1800s and the 1700s, the whole design, there's 2 large lines. One is the Tigris, and one's the Euphrates. And the net comes from the fishing nets. It has nothing to do with Palestine at all. Well, this makes no sense. It was co-opted by the Palestinians in like 1951 or something. Cruising PC, go into the Discord and go into the generals area, and you can click on guys. We'll do Discord members only for like the first maybe 45 minutes, like an hour, and I might open it up. I don't know. It depends on how the chat goes, right? Or I might just do Discord members only. And if the chat gets out of hand, I might just make the chat members only, guys. So guys, don't make me do members only in the chat, please. Okay, but if I see any crazy stuff, guys, we're gonna do members only in the chat.
Years ago, I never expected that my employer...
Yeah, she works at Microsoft. What is the average salary of a person who works at Microsoft? Guys, guess. Someone throw out a number.
$187,000.
Okay. One even.
Okay, Colin.
Actually, they're surprisingly low. I'm gonna say 62,000.
the overall average annual compensation is $120,000 to $135,000.
Whoa.
The median salary for higher technical roles is $160,000. However, a software engineer and up, the average salary is $160,000 to $265,000 a year. And this dunderheaded moron decides to bring this to work. You absolute dunderhead. Why are they so stupid, guys?
Okay,
Why are they so dumb?
You stupid woman.
So I kind of like have two things to say about this. Like, do you think that this person? Do you think that she's a software engineer, or do you think that she's like one of in a support role around?
Yes,
you know what I mean?
In recruiting or marketing or HR.
Yeah, exactly. I like the people that do this. They're like I've seen this with other companies, and it tends to be about the environment or whatever. They'll do this right before they get fired. They'll glom on to some kind of political agenda. And then go and do something ridiculous to like get a media spotlight put on them. But they already knew that like the axe was coming down. You know what I mean? So, like these are always people that know that they're in the process of getting let go.
Yeah. So actually, I can testify to this. So I'm in Marysville, Washington.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And and so actually when I first came to this country, I was basically in Bellevue, right across the border from Redmond, where Microsoft at this point I think they now have actually 2 zip codes just for Microsoft. But anyways, I guarantee you, this broad here, she's not in HR, she's not in marketing, she's in recruiting.
And
the reason I know this is because now Marysville, where I'm at, my home value has gone up so much because all that money, all these people, they're moving up out of Kirkland, out of Redmond, out of Bellevue, and they're moving up to Marysville because just a few months ago, Microsoft let 12,000 people go.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you this is one of them.
But Colin, you could even say it's crazy, right? Like, remember Redmond was like not that in the 90s, in the 2000s, Redmond's like, you live in Redmond? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And in the last like 30 years, Redmond became a nice place to Renton, Redmond, where else?
Monroe.
Yeah. Ooh, man. Hey, you want to talk about meth? You know what I'm saying? Hold on, Adam. Adam says, "How are women stupid when men fight wars for them?" Because you know what, Adam? Women have voted and propagandized each other to where now they're getting almost all the same negative outcomes as us men. Think about it, Adam. In the 50s and the 60s, we didn't see chicks in debt, homeless, on antidepressants, junkies, alcoholics.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now, men occupied all the lowest parts of society, and now more and more of them are in this funnel going straight down there with us. So other than fighting war is the only thing, right? There's even more chicks paying child support and alimony. In the 50s, there was never chicks paying child support and alimony. It's not very many, but the fact that there is one, every other part of a woman's existence has gotten worse other than war. So I would say that they're pretty stupid. Who was saying something?
Sorry.
I'm done now.
The person that's asking the question seems to suppose like men have a choice in that. when your country is at war, you're not electing to go and defend this person specifically or that person. You're going in and defending the broad base of your society. So
True.
these women get lumped in with everybody else who enjoys that privilege.
Yeah.
Also, these women, they've gotten incredibly used to a privilege of not having a war on their continent since for the past 150 years. There's not been a major war in North America. So they have this false sense of security. They're becoming completely detached from reality. That's why you have people that are like legitimately questioning whether they're a man or a woman. They've separated themselves from what life is actually like.
Matthew, you remember I always say that it's the arrogance and the ignorance of abundance.
Yes.
Luxury beliefs, champagne socialism.
This is champagne. Champagne socialism. Let's go. That's a good one. Champagne socialism. Facts. Devil's advocates in the house. What's up, man?
Well, AJ,
I gotta get a sound effect for you, man. There's a couple people that I have sound effects for. I just haven't uploaded them yet. But I'll have a sound effect for you. Who was saying something?
AJ, you know that so like I've got a background in substance abuse and substance abuse treatment, right?
Yeah.
So you were just talking about the privilege of abundance. This goes a lot into people getting what they want the most, and it like having a negative outcome, right? So like a lot of these celebrities, when they achieve this, mega wealth, right? They end up committing suicide many times. There's actually
say self-deletion, please, sir.
What?
Say self-deletion.
Self-deletion. Sorry, self-deletion. There's a pretty high rate of that because these people reach the zenith of privilege and realize that doesn't actually fulfill them. They can live on the champagne all day. They can have all the privileges, have everything brought to them, and they're still not fulfilled because those things are not actually what fulfills us.
This is why Olympians self-delete all that stuff. Do you guys want to know? Guys, watch.
Because that's 3 year up.
So guys, this is when Tyson Fury. You guys remember after he won the championship, he like defended it once, and then he gained like 200 pounds. He was almost 400 pounds. He retired. He was doing drugs, getting drunk, all this other stuff. Guys, he trained his whole adult life to beat Klitschko and become the heavyweight champion, and he did it. You guys remember on Conan at the end where he deletes James Earl Jones' character? Remember that? And then he's sitting there on the steps, like thinking to himself, like, "What do I do now?" His whole life was dedicated towards this one goal, and he achieved it. And that's the thing about like, people who are like. It's very, 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 very rare for someone to be in a field or in doing something where you get to the point where you can objectively say that you are the best. You look at like Michael Bisping, the MMA fighter, guys. He lost an eye. He has a knee replacement in each knee, and his neck is jacked up. And he says he wouldn't take any of it back. Because when he got the UFC belt, that was his dream. He had dreamed about being the UFC champion since he was like 12. And when he got that belt, it said Michael Bisping is the best 185-pound mixed martial arts fighter on planet Earth. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Imagine what that would do to your head. You guys remember after Christmas and you opened up all your presents? It was kind of like you were kind of depressed afterwards.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Imagine that, but your whole existence. It's kind of crazy, huh?
Well, like what you're describing is, he lost the purpose that gave him great focus.
Yeah.
He achieved his goal, but he didn't have a plan for like after that or what that goal like. He failed to like what they call self-actualize, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Out the ring. I was down with depression and anxiety. I was drinking on a daily basis. I was gone. I was finished. The only place I ever thought that I'd ever end up was in a padded room somewhere. It was terrible. I was thinking about suicide every day and I had nothing to be upset about. I was heavyweight champion of the world. I was 27 years old. I had money, fame, glory, a family, achievements, kids, everything running so smooth. But it didn't matter because mental health will bring you to your knees if you let it. Because
that sounds like our society, doesn't it, guys?
Yep.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
We have everything we need. We have jobs, we have food, we have water, we have relative safety, security, right? So, guys, once again, this is why it's so funny. You go to the third world where they have nothing. These people are literally pulling their food out of the ground with their bare hands, but they're singing songs and having dinner with multiple generations of their family all around the table. You know what I'm saying? Living happy lives. And it's because they have a purpose. We need to make this community strong. We need to get food. We need to get water. We need to make it take out any threats to the general neighborhood and society. That's how it works. And we've lost that, So hold on, guys. This is what I was gonna do. And then there's two more stories, and then we can get into the topic here.
Would have me literally dragged out of my own workplace.
So guys, they barricaded themselves into the office of a higher executive and said, "We're not leaving, blah, blah, blah." Man, I wish I'm up there would. Man, try if I owned a company and they tried to do that in my job.
Yeah, good luck finding any company on the face of the earth that would put up with that nonsense.
Seriously.
Really.
Human rights.
And I think she's part Asian. Guys, when the Asians start doing this, we're cooked, right?
Yeah.
The 25 people in the last 8 days.
We can get it too.
Is for protesting Microsoft.
Many current and former employees are demanding Microsoft break ties with the Israeli military.
Yeah, right. If they think that'll happen,
You've been had. You've been took. You've been hoodwinked. Bamboozled. Led astray. Run amok.
Fox 13's AJ Janabel breaks down the last several days of rallies.
Look at this guy.
Beta.
Nice shirt, buddy. Guys, if I ever saw myself wearing this, I'd have to kick the shit out of myself. Yo.
Yeah, you better wear some running shoes if you're wearing that shirt in my neighborhood I grew up in.
I know, dude. My neighborhood too. Thank God. That's why I moved to the south, bro. Straight up, this would not fly at all, dude.
Yeah, and
Jameson said, "Is that shirt made of soy?"
heard from several Microsoft employees who have been fired.
Guys, I don't think that I've told you guys.
Sorry, that man has no chest.
Guys, I'm from Washington State. And, so all my friends are like super duper far left, and I'm an independent now. So they, AJ, you're a fascist now, right? Guys, AJ, I haven't seen you post anything about Palestine on your Facebook and them signs. I'm like, yo, you guys are crazy.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with me. Nothing. I said, and the privilege that you must have to care that much about stuff that's happening thousands of miles away. Why don't you volunteer to help some of these homeless veterans out?
Well, I was going to actually bring that up, and doesn't it just kind of show you how easily these people are led around the nose by the people that create this agenda for the Democratic Party?
Yeah,
by the progressives.
Yep,
it's like arrested at.
It's like it has absolutely nothing to do with us. And they're not talking about fentanyl and how it's killing scores of people.
Guys, hold on, Matthew. It's so bad. Hey, Lenny, Matt, Colin, have you guys ever been? Matthew, can I call you Matt?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you guys been to West Virginia?
Yep.
Did you go in like a Target or a CVS and see the friggin' bulletproof glass and the fortress that they have in all the pharmacies? From all the junkies, it's out of control, dude. Like they have like thick bulletproof glass. They have all these cameras. They have these little slots because people are trying to kick in the place and get to the opioids. You know,
It's
crazy.
out of control. It's out of control, man. Well, I grew up there in a smaller town, Clarksburg, and just the way you look at trashy, black people, AJ, it's the same way I look at trashy white people. Seriously, it's embarrassing to me as a person. Seriously.
Hey, AJ, guys, I would please like to make a petition as a regular, contributing, I guess member of the channel, or not member, but whatever. For the love of God, can we please stop calling them the Democratic Party? They are the demonic rat party. No, I'm dead serious. I'm serious, dude.
They're just straight up anti-American at this point.
Yeah, that's true. Because guys, once again, the Charlie Kirk's he said it the best, and guys, this is how sad the Democrats are. Because guys, I don't even like Charlie Kirk. He's not even that he's not like super smart, but the Democrats are so stupid, and these colleges indoctrinate people to where they can't think critically. So Charlie Kirk just like dunks on these knuckleheads, on these professors and these college kids. They have no arguments because all it is parroting talking points. That's all it is. And it makes Charlie Kirk, of all people, look like he's some genius, and he's not,
Well, and to go back to what you were saying at the very start of the show about us not all having like the same opinion, right? You're talking about purity testing. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why the discussion on our side is.
Whoa, Matt, hold on, wait, hold on. That's. I hadn't thought of that. You said purity testing.
Yeah,
purity testing, which leads to virtue signaling, because you want to they're about to preemptively or proactively pass the test by a virtue signaling.
Yes.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that before.
But I want to connect like what you said earlier about how like you can have disagreements with other people. See, you and I, right? We can see things differently, but we don't question each other's motives, and that's why, like we can have disagreements, and I can give you my case for why I believe, but I'm not going to believe that you're an asshole. Or sorry, I won't swear. I won't think that you're an evil person for disagreeing with me on this one issue when we have 90 or 80% of agreement. Do you know what I mean?
But
on the left, it's flipped. On the left, it's flipped. You disagree with me on one thing, and you are, you're like, the mustache guy.
Exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Like Matthew, I saw a real good analogy on this, dude. Like, tell a Democrat that you like pancakes, they'll scream at you why you don't like waffles. You know what I'm saying? Like,
why do you deny waffles' existence?
Right. I mean, just insanity,
why can't the waffles be in the pancakes bathroom? No, but like, let's just say like Matthew and I just disagree on something, and we're doing like an informal debate. You guys see liberals do this all the time. Have you ever seen like Andrew Wilson or someone ask them a simple question, and they think that the person's trying to play gotcha, so they're trying to not answer the question? Because here's the thing, they don't argue in good faith, so they assume that no one does. If Matthew asks me a question, so do you agree with me that the sky is blue? I'm not going to be like, what do you mean by blue? To try and not get caught in something. I'm assuming that he's asking me that question in good faith. You know what I'm saying? So because why didn't you call the waffles by their proper pronouns?
These protests. We dug into what has been going on at that Microsoft campus in Redmond, Washington over the last few days.
The People's Court summons Bradford Lee Smith.
Tuesday, police say 7 protesters barricaded themselves inside the office of Microsoft President Brad Smith. The protest group.
They're in the Microsoft president's office? Thunderheads?
No Azure for Apartheid say they have several demands, including Microsoft cut ties with Israel. Police arrested the 7 inside the president's office for trespassing and resisting arrest.
Good, so the cops ran in there.
Current employees were among the protesters. Microsoft fired them for breaching company policy.
Let's go! They fired all those sons of bitches, dude. Let's go! Let's
Love
go!
to see it.
Look at that! Guys, anyone who wants to call in, guys, go to the Discord and then hit the join button. That's in the general.
Less than a week before this incident, police arrested 18 people for causing chaos on the company's campus in Redmond. Video shows the group arriving outside the Microsoft sign.
Now, guys, the only reason why this happened is because it was on the campus. If this would have happened on the front, the sidewalk, they wouldn't have done a damn thing.
Microsoft said one of the protesters in this rally was a current employee. 3 others were fired from the company previously for similar conduct.
David and Nia, several of the former Microsoft employees who have now been fired said this is not what they wanted to happen. They wanted Microsoft to take accountability.
Microsoft has dragged its feet at every opportunity to hold the Israeli military accountable, but has acted with incredible haste in repressing worker sentiment about the issue of Palestine. I worked in Azure storage. It is untenable to me that I had worked so hard on building out the Azure storage space, and that ultimately that labor was benefiting the mass surveillance and targeting of a people experiencing the extreme horrors of genocide and forced starvation.
I reached out to Microsoft.
Yes, you guys know what I just heard, right? You guys know what I just heard out of
what's that?
All that.
Somebody call the ambulance.
What is Microsoft supposed to do? Guys, let's just say these dunderheads get their way. Microsoft, they would get sued. They have a contract. They can't just pull out. Guys, what are you talking? Which is exactly what this person's dad should have done.
Yeah, dude. What a
I bet you his dad agrees with you, AJ.
Who was saying something?
I said, I bet you his dad agrees with you now, AJ.
No, dude, come on, man. Look at that. The only storage that should have happened is in the condom his dad should have used the night he was conceived, right?
Microsoft for a statement in regards to the press conference. They did not provide a statement. However, over the last few days with the other protests, they have provided statements. We have those.
Guys, here, we'll look at one more story and then we will get into the topic here. 1 second. There we go. We were right here.
Woman who says that she thought she was helping law enforcement. Instead, she was tricked by a man who was pretending to be a bank employee and a woman who ended up posing as an FBI agent, and it cost her family their entire life savings. Tonight, she is going to share her story directly with our Aaron Jones and you, hoping that it might protect other families from the same kind of heartbreak.
She doesn't want her name to be shared, but wants North Texans to know what happened.
And he was so convincing, and he kept me on the phone for hours.
This Garland resident says earlier this month, she got a call from a man.
Boomer got scammed, say it ain't so.
Guys, please, guys, I don't think any of us will ever fall for this, guys. I don't win anything. I don't enter anything. Nobody needs to get a hold of me. I'm not special. You're not special, guys. All right. That's how I don't get got. You know what I'm saying? Any fishy email, because there's probably prizes or trips I've missed out on, honestly, because I don't win anything. I'm not important. Okay. If anyone needs to get a hold of me, they'll get a hold of me. They'll leave a message. They'll actually leave like a certified mail, something. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't even pick up the phone. If I don't recognize the number, I don't even answer it. Period. So
Called and he said that someone was trying to remove $6,000 from my account, a wire transfer. and he was going to block it.
But she says the way he told her it would be handled, she now realizes was a scam.
I want you to go to the bank. I'm going to work with the Federal Reserve. We're going to put money in your account and you're going to take it out. And we're going to look for red flags.
At first, she withdrew $9,500.
And I was getting notices from Chase with code numbers like you get. And I'd read it back to him.
And after that, he says he told her to go back to the bank and take out another $15,500.
In my
moron. Doing? What are you doing, guys? Why? Why are they so stupid?
Some people are really fucking stupid.
Jay, when I was growing up, I lived with an elderly person. My aunt Dorothy's, who raised me, they got her in some scam. This had to have been like in the late 80s. They told her she won a grand piano. She ended up getting her prize in the mail, and it was a little those little like calculator sized piano things you press the key on, dee 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 dee. It was a calculator piano like that, and it said grand piano on it. I don't know how much they got her for, but yeah, I don't know how much it was, but yeah, she fell for something really crazy, like a contest sweepstakes type thing.
Wow,
yes.
That sucks.
First, my phone is on. He's listening to everything. Don't talk to anybody at the bank. Don't, talk to anybody.
She says she was told to put the cash, which was her family's entire life savings, in a box and give it to an FBI agent waiting in a nearby parking lot.
What?
She pulls up. I asked her.
What the fuck? Why? Why are they so stupid? Why?
I could see the first half, but the second half is just retarded. Come on now, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, dude. I'm not giving anyone in. Come on, guys. I wouldn't even give my family members that much cash.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What are you talking about?
This so perfectly illustrates why the U.S. government had to even implement Social Security, because the Boomer generation, they are too stupid for their own good to even manage their own money. Right. This is why Social Security was invented in the first place. That people in government were like, this generation of people are too stupid. They can't be trusted with their own goddamn money. And here we go, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You from the FBI, and he's on the phone. He says, yeah, that's her. Give her the money. Think it's over. And he goes, what? You know what? They want you to go back again.
At what point did you realize this was all a scam?
When I was standing in line, when he was trying to get the last of my savings, and for some reason I did have my phone open to my account, and I saw that my savings account had $2.98 left in it.
She says at her age, this is a loss she'll never recover from. But she's thankful police were able to track down 22-year-old Jessica Bahu of Frisco using her license plate.
Look at those lips. What a clown, dude.
He was like a transformer, right?
Buddy.
Look at that.
And I guarantee you that she's been caught for doing this to other people.
Yep.
And she's probably on probation for it.
Yeah, that's true.
Took our money and went to Florida and was on a yacht for 2 weeks. If that doesn't make you mad, I don't know what will.
Bahu was arrested last week for exploitation of the elderly, a third-degree felony. She was booked into the Garland Detention Center on $100,000 bond before later bonding out. Detectives are now working with the FBI as the investigation continues. For anyone watching your story, what warning would you want to give them?
How does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? Like how? Hold on, guys.
Today, a Milton man. Tonight, acquitted of charges of aggravated assault and false imprisonment. Sean Hollenbeck was arrested a year ago for holding a rideshare driver at gunpoint at his home. Tonight, a jury found him not guilty of those crimes. Our Hannah James spent the day in the courtroom. Hannah?
Bob, Hollenbeck said this trial ruined his family. And at the end of the day, that's who he believed he was protecting when he pointed a gun at a rideshare driver.
I said this in there and I mean it. I would rather get shot at than go through that again in combat.
After 2 days of testimony, a jury found Sean Hollenbeck not guilty of aggravated assault and false imprisonment.
Yeah, it's easy for you to
It's
say
a blessing.
all
Prayers
words
are
like
answered
that.
and
Say again?
No, I said it's easy to say that, as a, whatever. Never mind.
came out. I hope that the sheriff's office reviews what happened and press charges on the right people.
Hollenbeck's 13-year-old daughter snuck out of his house, ordered herself a lift to Pensacola. Hollenbeck immediately thought the worst.
He got on that stand and he testified that he felt that he had no clue where she was. He felt that she was being trafficked. He felt that she was.
So wait a minute. His 13-year-old called an Uber. The Uber goes to the house. She jumps in the back and he runs up and puts a gun to the guy's head. And he's not in the wrong. How?
Yeah, that's a whole crazy situation.
That's crazy. Man. Anyways, that's crazy. Guys, hold on. I got to hear a little bit more about this. Hold on.
Being drugged, raped.
So when an unmarked car parked at the lot next to his home in the dark, he said his 31 years of active service in the Army kicked in.
What was running through the defendant's mind explains.
This guy's missing a chromosome, dude. What's going on here?
Why this happened.
Bam,
It does not justify his behavior.
He pointed a gun at the driver, ordered him out of the car and onto the ground.
Now, when you were held at gunpoint, how did you?
Where is this? Is everyone first cousins getting married and having kids?
Terrified. I pled for my life and said, I'm just an Uber driver. I have a son. Please don't shoot.
He got his information and let him go unharmed.
I submit to you that a reasonable person is not going to run up on a vehicle, not knowing who is in the vehicle, not knowing where the vehicle's coming from.
Do you think the little girl got in trouble? No. She almost got her dad put in jail for a long time and almost got this other guy killed.
Yeah, my daughter tried me when she was 14. I caught her sneaking out. She lost her bedroom door for a year. She lost all privileges for a bedroom door for a year.
My friend
tried to play with me.
My friend Aaron, his oldest daughter, snuck one of her boyfriends into the house, and the neighbor called and was like, "Dude, I just saw someone go into your house." So he's a former, he's retired Air Force, so he went to the closet and got one of his guns, and he gets in the house because the neighbor's like, yeah, some strange dude went into your house. And sure enough, he pulled on the guy and said, "Dad, oh my God." He's like, and he had to sit her down and was like, "You cannot do this. You could have got him killed." You understand? You cannot do this. What would make you think that this is a good idea? Okay, so guys, let's get into the topic here. Let's see if I can make this bigger. Here. 1 second. Okay. So guys, can anyone see this map here?
Yep.
Okay, so guys, I can't make this any bigger. Whoop. Sorry. Yeah, I can. Sweet. Okay, so guys, we have pre World War II. I'm sorry, pre World War One. Hold on.
Right. Yeah.
This is post World War One. I think they mean World War II. Poland, Czechoslovakia, Soviet. Yeah, he means World War II, guys. Okay, so guys, this is pre World War II, and this is post World War II. Okay, guys, look at how many empires that there were before World War II, and then there was only 2 afterwards. Think about how insane that is, right? World War I and World War II have to be the 2 most. Actually, guys, okay. Here's the first question, guys. I call World War I and World War II just the Great War because it was the same thing but with a 10-year break in the middle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's all
yeah.
it was.
Right.
Or I mean, 20-year break in the middle. 20-year break in the middle.
It's like that. It's like that gift from Wayne's World. Game on.
Yeah, yeah. No, 10 years in Europe. Yeah. So guys, people don't understand when World War One had happened, right? There's so much going on even before World War One. Because remember, the Japanese beat the Russians in the Russo-Japanese War, and it was like 1901.
1900, it was right at the beginning of the 19th
Yeah.
century, and
So
it
they were the
culminated
first.
in the Battle of Tsushima.
Yeah, so they were the first Asian power to actually come out on the world stage, and that shook Europe to its core, right? And that's when the Japanese really started having an interest in a global position. Now, what people don't understand about the Japanese theater, because we can say that the Pacific and the Atlantic were completely different in how they were fought, and the soldiers' experience, the soldiers versus the Marines, right? The tactics used, right? And then even nowadays, how the public sentiment towards each power, right? People, for some reason, look back at the Germans of that particular time period who were terrible people, and they don't look at the Japanese of the time as bad. When I would argue they're actually worse.
Well, if you read the Rape of Nanking,
say rape, dude. Say essay, dude.
Oh,
Guys,
sorry,
please.
sorry.
Yeah, guys.
Coded words. But that's like the actual title of the book.
Doesn't matter. It's YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, the conduct of Japanese soldiers towards Chinese civilians, like unquestionably, you're absolutely right.
But it wasn't just China. It was the Philippines. It was Burma. It was Myanmar. It was all of French Indochina. It was Papua New Guinea. They had made it all the way to Port Moresby. It was Tonga, all Guam.
Yep.
Samoa. You know what I'm saying?
It's the glee they took in the disgusting things they did as well that makes it even worse. It was like a sport to them.
Yeah.
To see how cruel they could be. Just unreal, dude.
Is that the Germans of that particular time period at least systematically use things like, you know, the chambers and all that. The Japanese use bullets, shovels, and swords. You know what I'm saying?
Bayonets. But also, you know, I just want to point out this is something that's not really well documented or well known. But the Japanese also deployed biological weapons against the Chinese.
Yes, that was what was their group called?
Unit something, wasn't there?
Unit.
It was like it had a 3-number unit to it. It was like 571 or something like that.
It was like unit. Hold on, no. Japanese warfare unit. Let's see. Unit 731. That was them. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. And they
were going and testing smallpox and directly, deliberately infecting children with them and releasing them into their village. You know, all of these things were to tabulate results on how to release a plague and what the results of releasing a plague would be on a civilian population. And
right.
They
would actively target non-combatants, you know, to try to bend the will.
There were certain types of explosives where they would stake people down at certain distances and blow the stuff up to see what would happen to each of the people at a different distance. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Look at this. The final months of World War II saw the liberation of hundreds of ghastly camps and the awful reality of the Germans. Far less known as a wholesome slaughter of hundreds of thousands of Chinese by a Japanese organization known as Unit 731. The purpose was developing biological and chemical weapons. So Unit 731 is exceeded by a year the duration of Germany. While biological and chemical weapons were not new to warfare, the Japanese testing on human subjects was unparalleled even by the Germans.
Yep.
What makes this descent into barbarity all the more stunning was the Japanese contribution to medical science just 3 decades later. But guys, that was the Germans too. When the United States was rushing towards Berlin, right? They tried to get as many of those scientists out of there as possible. The Russians tried to get some, and the Americans and the Brits tried to get some. You know?
Yeah, we called it the American program was called Operation Paperclip.
Yeah,
and we recruited those people directly into our parallel programs. So, like for jet fighters and rockets and our nuclear program, we took all of their competing science and added it to ours.
Yeah. Yep. And guys, a good chunk of our modern medical science comes from World War II experiments that we could never do now. You know?
Well, and just the parallel along with like what you're saying, if you look up what the subsequent German jet fighter was going to be that they were going to release, and then you look up what the MiG-15 looks like, and the F-86 Sabre jet of the Air Force that they used in the Korean War. Both of those jets look exactly like the German one, and that's because they took the fundamentals that the Germans learned in creating jet fighters and integrated them into those two designs. If you look at those aircraft, they're radical departures from where both the Americans and the Russians were heading in aerial warfare, and you see this radical departure and when they enter into the jet phase.
Yeah.
And that's the Germans.
Yeah. I'd like to touch on a little bit of World War I stuff too before we get too far into two,
so
if we can.
So guys, World War I is always interesting to me because people they don't understand that it was
the scale of it.
But it was medieval tactics with modern weaponry.
Exactly,
like,
AJ.
don't understand
when I was in college. Sorry.
No, just like it was that the British call it lions led by donkeys because the generals were so stupid, but the men were so brave, right? They would just go running and
lions led by lambs. Yes.
Yeah.
A German officer observed that that's how the British were. Their grunts were fearless, and their officers were very timid, and this resulted in massive casualties for them.
It wasn't just mass; it was like on scales never seen before. When I was in college, I did a paper on. There was an American. His name was Alan Seeger, and before the U.S. was involved in World War I. He wanted to go over so badly that he ended up joining the French Foreign Legion so he could serve in World War I because he was afraid the war would be over before he got a chance to fight, right?
Yeah.
So he went over there with them, and he was a famous poet, and I can't really say the name of the famous poet he has. He goes, it's titled I Have a Date with Passing Away, more or less, but it's the D word, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the Battle of the Somme in World War I don't think anybody can even fathom this, but in one day of fighting, 57,000 casualties.
Yeah.
There's a big misconception that a casualty is passing away. It's not necessarily that. It just means that you're taken out, your combat ineffective, you can no longer fight. But amongst those 57,000, there were 20,000, of the guys that no longer went on after that day.
Yeah.
And the Vietnam War, the U.S. only lost, not only, but lost about 50,000.
But just think about
in one day, British lost 50,000. 20,000 of those, never walked again.
Buddies program too, where let's just say that Lenny, Matt, Colin, and I all lived in the same neighborhood. We would join together and end up in the same unit. So, guys, entire neighborhoods of husbands and brothers and stuff and from fathers got wiped out. Yep. So, if our unit got cooked, that'd mean that all the women in that whole areas, all their sons were dead. Right. It was insane. Like what people don't understand about I think we'd had the conversation where the guy had said how did technology increase so fast around this time? Because we had never had warfare on this scale before. This was the first time that they had what is it called?
Semi-automatic weapons, machine guns.
No. What is it
you
called?
had the application of the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah. They had industrialized war.
Right.
Okay. What is it called? Where something's on an assembly line and it goes together. What's the term for it? Dang it. What is it called? There's a term for it where something is like assembled on like an assembly line. But yeah, this is the first time that it was an industrialized war, right? And they were making planes and tanks and bombs and things that were just, and it was just insane. So these guys,
no, you're exactly right. It's industrialized because before they almost made weapons on like a cottage scale. It was a bunch of small manufacturers, not one huge factory just pumping the stuff out. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So, so the tactics didn't keep up with the actual technology, right? And it was so bad that you had like 14, 15-year-old guys, boys, that were joining part of the effort. If you turned around and ran, you get executed. Yep. Guys, have you seen this? Look at this. Look at this. That's shell shocks from World War I. Can you imagine? And they've used the term shell shock, but it wasn't until recently that they said that there's post-traumatic stress.
Right.
Yet we've known about shell shock for years. That's like a CTE. Guys, we've known about being punch drunk since the early 1900s. You see the old heavyweight champion, hey, what's up, champ? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look at this guy. And oftentimes they would shock these
right. Well, it was even worse than some of the artillery strikes during World War II because it wouldn't just be overnight or a couple hours.
Yeah,
it would go on for
days,
weeks at a time.
Days. Yeah. These guys, man.
Very widely functional neuroses such as hysterical deafness or hysterical blindness. So it's not medically a helpful term as people recognised at the time, but it was an emotionally important term. It made sense to people.
Damn, look at that, guys. But yeah, so this was the first time where
before the First World War, soldiers.
And it's so bad, guys, getting back to the arrogance and the ignorance of abundance, right? The women can't even fathom that men go through this. They can't even fathom, guys. There are these dunderheads on these podcasts who say that women are the worst victims in war.
Unreal, dude. Unreal.
Well, I want to say this about the difference between a male perspective and maybe the privileged female one that you're talking about. Those women, especially the modern ones here living in this country, they're completely unable to put anything before themselves. So the idea of dying for your country or dying for your to the man left or right of you, they could never build themselves into a cohesive combat unit when it comes to the modern day military. They're completely.
They're not going to die for anyone. They won't even die for their own children.
Most of them aren't even aware of their own mortality. They're so ignorant. That's how bad they are. Serious, honest to goodness.
Matt, you were saying? I interrupted you. Sorry.
Well, it's I mean, this is why I've held many of these discussions with my wife. This is why I consider most of them to be extremely bad candidates to be a mother of children. They're completely unable to place the health, safety, and welfare of anybody before themselves. And so, this experience is it's going to seem surreal to them because they can't even fathom the idea of going and fighting in a battle that took place between 10,000 or 100,000 men, all of whom were willing to die there. That's on a battlefield where like none of it surrounds or orbits them. And so they're like they just can't even conjure this kind of thing.
The thing that irks me is there are places in the world where there is war and women understand there's war. Like you get all these wars in the Balkans in the early 90s, right? You know, guys, women didn't want any part of that. As there's places around the world where there's so much violence that women understand their place. Really? You were here?
Yeah, my first deployment was in 1998. Our Harriers on, I was on the USS Nassau. Our Harriers were the first U.S. strike to hit like their artillery positions and all that stuff. We were flying in supplies to the refugee camps and all that stuff. Yep.
But it's just crazy how people, they don't understand. Like, it's just so disrespectful to even think of that. It's just disrespect. There's just no, and guys, this is ultimately something's going to happen where this abundance we have is going to get shattered. And I think that the quickest way to do it is for men to make an artificial rock bottom and just walk away.
Yep, I agree. None of these women, very, very few of them, and it's not even worth sifting through the ones that you should avoid to find the ones that you shouldn't, or that you should get involved with. Very few of these women here in America are worth a shit. Excuse my language.
Yeah,
they're just not. I'm sorry. They've gotten so overly privileged and entitled in their lives that they're completely worthless as human beings. I'm sorry to say.
Yep, that's true. And it's so funny that they've done the whole thing where they don't even try and move the goalpost anymore. They just say everyone run this way because the moment that the feminists and all this other stuff actually set some type of tangible goal, that's when the money might stop. Guys, the whole point of a organization or a nonprofit is to one day not be around anymore. You know what I'm saying? If we were going to make something to help the veterans in Baltimore, we would say by X date, we want to make it so that there's this 45% less veterans, homeless veterans on the street. And then by that date, we would look and say, have we accomplished this? You know what I mean? But
there's no end state. Yep.
Yeah, not at all.
Because they're never going to be as physically strong as we are, no matter what they do.
Yep.
And, it's just not going to happen.
But guys, and this is why a lot of men aren't joining the military, especially white men. White men are saying, what's the point? Why are you going to go and risk your life to defend a country that just craps all over you all the time? All the time. Insane. So guys, World War I though. So
can I just share like a fact about World War I? Because the other gentleman, I didn't get his name and I apologize about that, was talking about casualties during the Battle of Somme, and he mentioned that 50,000 was walking wounded and dead, right? You have to remember that when you're talking this environment, this is before we had antibiotics, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have anything to clean wounds out. You don't have that fungus that was very, very efficient in cleaning out a bullet wound or shell fragments or something else like that. And on top of that, you're talking about a battlefield where you have rotting animals and tens of thousands of human corpses.
Yep, rats and bugs
and flies and
during the whole battle they lost like 1 million. It was one day they lost 50-some thousand. One day.
I'm agreeing.
One offensive,
Right. I'm just trying to add some context to when I say, so like when you say walking wounded, those people are most likely going to become casualties, like complete casualties, within a month, because the chances are very slim of actually surviving a wound, even if you physically survive, because you're going to get it. It's going to get infected. Even people who return to the line after getting some kind of rehabilitative care, that wound is going to get infected. And in those conditions, there's no way around it.
Look at this, guys. You guys been living in this, and it's all cold and wet and nasty. Look at that, guys.
Yeah.
The low trench foot.
Yeah, the rats were out of control as well. The rats were out of control. They would spread disease and everything. Yeah.
They have lice. You know what I'm saying? They have all types of stuff, dude. It's disgusting. Look at this. Their food would rot.
And you know how they used to have to activate their gas masks, right? So their gas masks wouldn't seal on their face. You know what they had to do to their gas masks before they put them on? They would have to urinate on them to activate them.
Ugh.
Like those original gas masks that came out. That's what they were trained to do. Unreal, dude.
That disgusting, dude. No way. Yeah, guys, but this is what
the VA. This is just kind of an interesting thought. The VA here in Milwaukee. It features some of the pictures because it was one of the hospitals that cared for specifically blind veterans. They have pictures in the hospital of these lines of these guys that were blind. And we're still in their Great War uniforms or their hospital scrubs, and they're going through the chow line, right? And they all have their left arm on the shoulder of the man in front of them, because then feeling him move and turn and get his food told them that they were going to do that. That's how they did everything like that, where everything was like in a line and they were all together, because there were 13,000 veterans that were at the VA in Milwaukee who were blind, and they had to be cared for the rest of their lives because they most of them never got their sight returned to them.
That's crazy, huh?
That's just like, if you think about numbers, that's just like an end statistic, and that's one group of casualties.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just sad. You look at these guys. War is not the answer, but it's necessary. Like we should never ever try to go to war, right? But guys, people who think that violence and war is not a natural part of the human condition, you are an idiot, right?
It absolutely is. It 100% is. You're never going to divorce that from what it means to be a man in the world, any more than you could divorce a tiger from eating meat.
Yeah.
We have been. There has never been a full year of peace on this planet.
Well, what did Reagan say? The only thing that would make world peace is if there's aliens. There's a different, like an external threat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think that I think he was talking about us being unified, and it would be unified. It would be unified against some external threat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I view war as part of like our evolutionary biology. It is how, just like animals, when they'll go and fight each other, that's how they keep their skills fresh. I think that we too often we fall into the trap of not seeing humans as part of the animal kingdom. We are part of the animal kingdom. Our biology, our evolutionary biology, is mammalian in nature.
Yeah.
I don't. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't see our behavior and our attributes, our physical attributes, as being that different from my tigers in Thailand. When I look at that animal, and you kind of have to like zoom out, to appreciate the trees in the forest, if you get what I'm saying. Yeah. Like in a very paradoxical way, like you have to look at that animal for what it is in its environment, and then you start to see the stark similarities between that animal and us. I see, like when I look at predators, I see stark similarities between the way that those animals interact in their natural environment and us. And so
this is a white phosphorus bomb. If any of that touches you, and you're cooked.
Yeah, that burns through. Cooked. WP burns is made to burn through metal. It's made to burn through car engines, and that's exactly what it will do. Yes, I am very familiar with white phosphorus. I've used it before.
But guys, what about the guys that would tunnel under enemy positions?
Yeah, tunnel rats.
And set like, dude, they would make
original sappers.
thousands of pounds of TNT and blow these big things up. Oftentimes they would run into each other's tunnels and have to fight like hand to hand in these tunnels, dude. Can you imagine?
Right.
Yeah, they actually had teams with like stethoscopes and orthoscopes, so that they could hear where people were tunneling and track the progress that they were making, and then they would just evacuate the areas where they knew that the bombs were going to go off.
Isn't it crazy how women act like men are just inherently bad and whatever? But look, you have the Allies and you have the Germans and the Brits and the French on Christmas Day putting aside their arms and actually like drinking beer and hanging out.
Oh, the Christmas truce, yeah.
Yeah.
Great story.
You know, do you think women could do this?
I remember when the History Channel was a real thing. They would show that every Christmas. Yeah, when the History Channel's worth of crap. Yeah.
But yeah, man. Look at this. So yeah, guys. So World War I was interesting in that, you know, that's when you started having, you know, fighter planes. You know, people dropping bombs, artillery, tanks, machine guns, snipers actually were a thing, even though it was considered just dishonorable, but they would still use them, you know.
But yeah, I've read something interesting and it made a lot of sense too. The number one means of wealth transfer and resource transfer in overall mankind has been conflict and warfare.
Yeah, always. Yeah. Well, that's once again what I was saying about what led to the technological innovation of the early 1900s, of why we went into World War I with, you know, barely biplanes and zeppelins and horses,
donkeys and horse cavalry tactics.
Then out of that, we had jet planes, nuclear bombs, radar, you know, nuclear subs, and I mean, basically,
within 25 years of that, insane.
But the reason why is because it was a war to the likes of which the world had never seen. So they took every single cockamamie idea and gave these scientists and engineers carte blanche to just develop this technology. And a lot of these technologies had already been invented. There was no practical use yet.
Well,
you know
yeah, I mean, AJ, you'll appreciate this because it's about computers. But like, you know, the guy who came up with the first computer worked in British counterintelligence, and he designed the first computer to decode German naval German naval signals. That was the first computer. Necessity is the mother of invention, and warfare pushes us to our limits.
And I just think that the
whole
aliens and all this other external forces, it just kind of like Occam's razor. You know, the simplest explanation is the best, right? Like, we don't need aliens or any type of external guidance to learn how to kill ourselves better. You know what I mean? Like, from 1914 until 1945, there was enough incentive for human beings to innovate, and it was trying to delete other human beings. Period. You know, is to keep our side alive and take their side out. You know, so then World War I ended. It was at 1918.
Yep.
And then we had the Roaring 20s, right?
Right? Flapper girls and all that good stuff.
Yeah, guys. And then we had the Roaring 20s, right? And then what happened in the 30s, guys? Everyone put what happened in the 30s.
Depression.
Yes. Yep.
Stock market crash, all that good stuff.
Now, guys, okay, back to the original topic here. Guys, all this is France's fault. World War II is France's fault. Guys, put a 1 if you agree with me. That World War II is France's fault. I'll tell you why. After France, yes, thank you. Nightmare, thank you. Let's go. Yeah, guys. France set up the Weimar Republic and basically had its boot on Germany's neck. Okay? the amount of post-war reparations that Germany was expected to pay was absolute clown world. And if people thought that was sustainable,
You've been had. You've been took. You've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok.
Yeah, that started a chain of events they couldn't even imagine. Yep.
Yeah, because the French did the same thing to French Indochina after World War II ended. The Vietnam War is France's fault. Put a 1 if you agree with me, guys. The French made a deal. They reneged on the deal, and the Viet Cong started kicking butt. And the French, of course, because they're insert negative word, the United States had to get involved. Now, guys, I'm not saying that Ho Chi Minh, he was a good guy. I'm not trying to say that the Viet Cong. What I'm saying is I understand. They were promised statehood if they were to go in and fight the Japanese in French Indochina. They did their part. The Vietnamese, the Cambodians, the Laotians, the Hmong, right? They were already supposed to they risked their lives, fought with the Anzacs, right? In these steamy hot jungles, did their job, and France said, oh, by the way, just kidding. Come on, man. You be pissed off too. So it's the 1920s, right? The 20s up until 1931. And Germany's cooked, right? And that's when Mustache Man comes in. Now, guys, people act like he was some amazing politician. No, he wasn't, guys. Anything could have taken hold because the Weimar Republic was so cooked, right, guys? People would have taken anything at that point, you know. So then World War II kicks off, right? Stalin and Mustache Man signed the Non-Aggression Pact. Okay, and that they say that at the time that was one of the most stunning things that people had ever seen, because that would be like the Bloods and the Crips, you know, shaking hands and saying that they're not going to fight. You know, like when that happened, the whole world was like, "Is this real? These two knuckleheads are signing a non-aggression pact? That's crazy," you know? So, and then, of course, what happens? France gets cooked. Because, of course, right? Guys, the French. Beta! But, guys, hold on. There's one thing that I want to talk about first. Lenny, Matt, Colin, John James. Who are the worst fighters in World War II?
The French.
The Russians.
Basically a meme. Oh, I forgot about
No, guys, the Italians.
Yeah.
The Italians were they were dog shit.
They were pretty
Thank
bad.
you, John James. Dude, World War II, Italy, they were so bad. Yeah, John James, thanks, man. John James, man, go to the Discord and call in, man, if you want. Dude,
yeah, I guess we couldn't really call the French even fighters. I'm joking.
They were, there you go. But the Italians were trash, right? That guys, from the jump, they were garbage. And the reason why, Italy invasion of Ethiopia. Guys, the Italians tried to invade Ethiopia and got their cheeks clapped. You know what I'm saying? Dude, I'm dead ass, dude.
Well, they also became famous for using poison gas against the Ethiopians. I think that they killed between 20 or 40,000 of them.
Yeah. And the Ethiopians still won. They still kept them from invading. So what happened was they had to go, yeah, you know, we didn't really want Ethiopia anyways. So when World War II happened, they actually over-reported their numbers because it was such an embarrassment that they lost so many men in this conflict. So the Germans were asking them to deploy troops that they didn't even have. Absolutely insane, right? So the Italians wanted to make a new Roman Empire. You know, look at this. The Italo-Ethiopian War. Look at that. So they took Eritrea and then Somalia, but they barely made it in Ethiopia, and then they got their cheeks clapped and they had to leave. So they were talking big mess, and then Mussolini noticed more and more that mustache man stopped taking his calls. Because the Germans started to understand in North Africa, right, that the Italians had no clue what they were doing. And then the Italians started surrendering en masse. They would run forward because the Germans came down. Italy in North Africa. There you go. Italy's North African misadventure. Guys, they were trash. They were trash, man. What's crazy is at the beginning, you had a small group of highly trained Brits. You know, some were commandos, some were armored guys, and they were just donkey stomping the Italians.
Yeah, the desert
blowing
rats,
up
right?
munitions.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
that was Germans, duh. But I can't remember the name. There was a unit name for them. I can't remember.
British.
The 21th, the Desert Rats. Are you referring to?
I guess
them?
it was okay. Yeah.
Africa Commandos.
They were just unreal.
Who were they? Yeah, they would just drive on their the Long Range Desert Group, the LRDG, for deep raids. I think that the Desert Rats were the Germans, right?
Yeah, I had it mixed up.
Yeah.
They were. They definitely were.
Guys, these guys, and there's a couple of really good movies about this, right? And then, guys, they would just ride in undercover of night and blow up their munitions and poison their water and just make life a living hell, dude.
Well, they would attack them all night, and then during the day, so they would have to sleep during the day, which you couldn't sleep during the day because it was so hot and everything.
Yeah.
So they were basically making the guys just go insane. They were, hitting them so hard.
Yeah.
I think that you're referring to some of the precursor units to the SAS.
Yeah. They were SAS at the time.
Some of them were. Others became later on.
Yeah. Units that proceeded and operated alongside the SAS. Yeah, but guys, look at these guys. And all these guys were all, they weren't, Schwarzenegger dudes. They were all freaking, highly intelligent, think outside the box, tough as nails. You know what I'm saying? Dudes, man. And they made it. Damn, what's up, dude? Good to see you, man. They made it their mission. They weren't even really trying to win. They were trying to stay in there. It wasn't about winning. It was about bleeding the enemy dry. You know what I'm saying? Death from 1,000 cuts. Get in there, cause as much havoc as possible until they want to take their ball and go home. So, yeah, guys. So North Africa happens, and that's where you had Rommel and all those guys, right? Now, guys, okay. France was the cause of the whole conflict, right? We can agree on that, right? Like, they're the reason why there was a sequel to episode 1. Because if they would have actually been civil after World War I, things wouldn't have escalated to where they're at. Can we all agree on that?
Yes.
I will agree that that was a big contributor. I think that yes. I think that World War II was largely inevitable. But yes, France and the policies that they maintained towards the Germans after the armistice, absolutely. They created a fertile playground for these fascists to rise in Germany.
I think that it would have been Western Europe and the United States versus Russia if the French hadn't have been stupid.
Yep.
Okay. Because if there would have been some type of fair treatment or like let bygones be bygones with the Germans and the French, then it would have been West versus East. Now, guys, okay, let's kind of move on. In the chat, put a 1 or a 2. Do you think that the United States' war with Japan was inevitable? Put a 1 for yes and a 2 for no. Guys, what do you think?
Yes,
it was absolutely inevitable.
Thank you. I agree. Oh, John James says that he would blame England.
Well, England was a party to the same armistice treaties that France was. It was just France was getting a bigger portion of the cut.
Okay, I still hate the French, so
I do too. I do too.
And you could also say that Neville Chamberlain, right? He was such a beta, right?
Beta
that he let Mustache Man, build up the way he did, So, but yeah. So, here, let's look at the Pacific before World War II. Let's see if I can find a map, guys. Let's look and see the map. If I can see, let's see. If we can see the Pacific Ocean before World War II. Guys, yeah, I agree that the war with Japan was inevitable. The ocean just wasn't big enough for the United States and our interests and the Japanese. Because
the Japanese absolutely needed to capture our oil fields in the Philippines.
Yeah.
If their empire was going to continue to expand. Like that was the one linchpin that was like holding together everything for the Empire of Japan. And when our relationship with the Empire of Japan shortly before the war began soured, we cut them off from that oil supply. We were selling them oil. And when we cut them off, that sealed the deal. Hostilities were inevitable at that point.
Yeah. So guys, look at this. So here we are, and then all of this is us, right? Let's see if I can make this bigger. Sorry, guys. Stupid thing.
Started, before the official start of the Second War, is that he was very obsessed about taking a large chunk of the Chinese mainland.
Yeah.
Because the emperor basically they understood full well that they were an island nation. They had no means of oil production. They really didn't have enough room to really grow enough trees for wood. And they were trying to take China, and because essentially because
hey guys, keep cooking. I'll be right back. Just keep talking.
And because essentially because the mustache guy, he created so much chaos that the Japanese emperor decided that this is our opportunity. Everybody, the rest of the world is focusing on their efforts on Europe, and this is our chance. And yeah.
I also think that culturally, there's always been a rivalry between the Japanese and the Chinese.
Even still to this day, the Chinese the Chinese and the Japanese, they hate each other.
Yes.
They hate each other.
Yes. And like that's very much about their identity is is conquering China. Like that goes. Japan's interesting because if you look back on like their history in feudal Japan, right, and you study like the samurai culture, what you had in World War II was an amalgam between the samurai culture with its codes, right, and a modern-ish, right, military. So they acted and behaved and spoke very similar to like a naval American naval personnel, right? But they believed in kind of that more 8th century mindset of the Japanese Bushido code, and so that's why they behaved like they did on the battlefield. And that goes into their treatment of China. They saw that as like that if they allowed for mercy, that would only cause their enemies to take advantage of them. They looked at the Chinese as brutal barbarians. That only when they were conquered would Japan be safe.
But remember that the Japanese didn't think anyone other than Japanese were even human beings.
Yes, you're exactly right.
And
that's actually the same attitude that the Chinese have today.
Yeah, and here's the thing: the idea of soldiers being taken prisoner. That's why the Japanese treated prisoners of war so badly. Is because it was it's just such an anathema to their way of thinking that you're less than dirt. Like you're not gonna die for your leaders and for your cause. Who are you, bro? Like that's why they would mistreat prisoners so bad. Because remember, that's the one thing you can say about the Atlantic theater is that there was some at least rules of engagement. But in Japan, I mean, in the Pacific. What the Marines dealt with, or what it was insane.
That's why I brought up the samurai culture. Is that surrender is never allowed, and in that culture, when soldiers would be defeated, many times they would perform seppuku on themselves. Because there was no such thing as like living with the shame of defeat. It's either you win or you die.
Well, there was I think it was like Iwo Jima or one of the islands, and they just couldn't believe that these guys just kept doing bonsai charges at them over and over and over again. It was like messing with the guys' heads because all these Japanese dudes would just run straight at them. And guys, here's the thing: the Japanese soldier who was fighting in the 40s. Japan had basically been at war since the early 1900s. They've been making expansion into China and other places since the end of the Russo-Japanese War. They took Korea. They were up in Manchuria. They had gone in all these places. So they were constantly fighting and expanding. So when in the United States, they weren't fighting any green troops, right? These are guys that have been fighting for decades, oftentimes. They had crappy weapons. A lot of the Japanese rifles and stuff weren't very good compared to ours, whatever. But they were plentiful, and these guys were not going to surrender, right? And they didn't give a damn. They were going to take as many of our guys with them as possible. Guys, one of the things that shows how bad that the Japanese technology was. Hold on. Did you guys know that the Japanese had tanks in World War II?
Yeah.
Dude, they were terrible.
Yep.
Look at this thing.
Well, they largely could produce them, not in any great number like ours, but they could produce them. They couldn't maintain them because they weren't industrialized to the same degree that like we were. America's kind of unique when it comes to that because we were one of the very first auto manufacturers. Their soldiers were not equipped at all to maintain machinery like a tank, especially in the Pacific.
These things, guys. These things were the Shermans were to these things what Tigers were to Shermans.
Yeah.
I'm dead ass, dude. Like the Shermans would just blast these things to bits, and then these things' main guns dude, the Sherman would eat these things bullets like Tic Tacs. Dude, they bouncing straight off. It was crazy.
They weren't made for armored on armored combat. They were made with the same tank design, the same paradigm as you saw in World War I, where it was a breakthrough piece. It was meant to deal with infantry and machine guns. It's not meant to deal with other tanks.
Yeah.
Like what Steve brought up in the chat, how it was an honor to die for the emperor. They didn't see the emperor as an emperor. They saw him as a no kidding living god.
Living god.
That's how crazy it was. And that's why they had such fervor when they fought.
And that's why,
some of the follow-on effects too, like the lead they used in their bullets was nowhere good as ours. The alloy blend wasn't as good, so it was more prone to corrosion and all that. However, that had follow-on effects. Those rounds would splinter a lot more when they hit us, so there'd be a lot more fragments that they had to get out of our guys, when they got shot and stuff like that. So it was just crazy, man.
It was crazy to even think about the conditions that these guys could endure when they were living in these tunnels under Iwo Jima stuff, living off like 2 handfuls of rice a day.
Yeah.
In these hot conditions, that's what brainwashing and propaganda and all this stuff can do. These guys were not playing games, dude. And then, oh wait, here, I'm injured. I'm gonna say, hey, Miss Lenny, Mr. American man, please help me. And then once you come close, I'm gonna pull the pin off on these grenades and take as many of you with me as possible. That was their mindset. And that's why, hold on, let's pump the brakes, guys. There's people out there saying that we did not need to drop the bomb on Japan.
That's the most ridiculous thing.
You've been had. You've been took. You've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok.
Continue.
Yeah, can I just want to say that's one of those arguments that you hear like elite college professors making who have no concept of like what was actually going on. The atomic bombs gave the emperor the excuse that he needed to surrender when his own military cabinet would not. What was going on every day, and this did not include the nuclear devices that were dropped on Japan. The regular bombing that the Japanese civilians were suffering, that alone exceeded any of the amounts of Japanese deaths as a result of those weapons, and that was going on every day. Every day, the Air Force would, the Army Air Force would take to the air in B-29s and carpet bomb and incendiary bomb Japanese cities at will. And the Japanese had largely nothing that they could send against these heavy American bombers.
Right.
And they were losing so many civilians every day to each one of these raids. These raids exceeded the total number of deaths in Nagasaki and Hiroshima per day.
Yeah. So actually, leading up to the first one, the Japanese emperor was getting so desperate that he did the same thing that the mustache guy did, where he was calling for women and children to basically, and check this out. The main reason that that Truman was actually convinced to actually do it and pull the trigger was because all the generals they ran the numbers and they figured out that doing the island hopping campaign would cost well over 600,000 American troops
and millions of Japanese citizens. They were guys. They were when the troops were walking through the streets. They had all the citizens were like lined on the side of the roads or whatever. There was sticks. They were sharpening. They cut down trees and sharpening sticks into spears to fight the soldiers hand to hand. They were teaching women and children how to use spears as if they were going to work against tanks and machines.
Right. So now, I think another thing that's not actually surprisingly not very well known. Did you guys ever know that there was actually a third bombing planned? Like
Yes,
it was.
and it actually was delivered by the USS Indianapolis.
Right, like the plane was ready on the runway, ready to go. Wherever it was going to be from, and finally, one of the generals over in Japan finally convinced the emperor to surrender, and and basically at the 11:59 p.m. and 59 seconds, the emperor was like, okay, fine, I'll surrender. But I'm not going, me personally, I'm not going to, be held responsible. I mean, the guy's a fucking coward. I mean, just straight up coward. But yeah, it's no, it's crazy and
super necessary.
Yeah, and that, that 600 plus thousand, those numbers, they figured that with the island hopping campaign, that was before they would even get to the mainland of Japan. So yeah.
So they saved a lot of lives. You know what I'm saying?
The estimates that I've seen were that the Japanese would have lost 25 million dead civilians and soldiers, and we would have lost in excess of 1 million, probably of 1.25 million, taking the islands of Japan.
Yeah.
And it would have cost us a big portion of the Pacific Fleet because the Japanese were retaining suicide aircraft, including jet-powered suicide aircraft, and 4,000 of them.
And the boats, they were making small boats that were one-way trip boats. Stop saying the S word, dude.
Oh, sorry.
They were one-way. They were one-way boats. They had one-way planes. They had one-way submarines. Like the torpedoes. They would strap you into there. You know what I'm saying? And then they had these small boats. They found these caves full of these small boats filled with dynamite and TNT. And what happened, they would take like a guy and he would be like at night and then just ram himself into the US boats. We didn't get close enough for it to happen. Plus the fact that they were mining all the waters around Japan. It would have been a complete bloodbath, So yeah. Guys, here we go.
At 29 years old, Paul Tibbets was handpicked to fly the B-29 bomber.
I had more experience with the B-29 than anybody.
It was the biggest, fastest, highest flying bomber of its time.
I thought, boy, I'm glad that they gave it to me. I can do it, and I will do it.
This guy's a freaking hero, man. Let's go.
And by doing so, I might take some lives, but I'll save many more.
Look at that. See?
And that's the thought that ruled me all the way through.
On August 5th, 1945, at an expense of $2 billion, the U.S. military unveiled the atomic bomb. It weighed 9,700 pounds. Because of its weight, it had to be loaded via a special loading pit. Just before takeoff, Tibbets had the plane's nose painted in honor of his mother, Enola Gay. The crew takes one last photo before takeoff. They're given cyanide pills in case they're captured. On August 6, 1945, the Enola Gay leaves Tinian Island. It would carry out the most violent act ever known.
It was the most boring flight that I ever made.
Now that, my friends, is a man's man.
City boy, city boy.
Look at that. One of the most important flights in history. It was kind of boring. Let's go. Let's go.
I have kind of a little bit of just a little factoid, I guess, about why the Japanese never tried to attack either of the bombers that came for Hiroshima or Nagasaki. The U.S. Army Air Force flew these pre-raids, right, with just 3 bombers. instead, and they would go to Japan, drop one bomb to practice doing what they were doing, and then leave. And the Japanese learned that these bombers, they never had any bombs really in them of quantity, and so these were like used as like fakes, right? And so the Japanese just got very used to seeing these small cells of B-29s. Those were the nuclear bombers. Those were the atomic bombers. And they were in training. They were going and doing these missions, and the Japanese got so used to seeing them that they didn't see them as a threat.
Yeah, that's true.
Because nothing went wrong.
12 hours and 15 minutes later, a fireball of death would drop from the sky.
The sky in front of me lit up like nothing you have ever seen. And then wham, we got hit by that shockwave.
Damn.
Tibbets banks the plane hard to escape the blast. He has just 41 seconds to turn it 10 miles.
The first shockwave registered 2.5 G-forces on the airplane.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a good kick in the pants.
Tibbets wore welder goggles like.
Look at this, dude. They don't make dudes like this anymore, man. Dude eats rusted steel for breakfast. You know what I'm saying? Dude freaking chops down trees for fun. You know, that's the type of guy this dude is. You know, can you imagine if he saw some of these knuckleheaded betas that are around?
Right?
Say, you know,
to protect his eyes from the
Yeah,
black.
I mean, seriously, all four of us put together, we still wouldn't be half the man he is.
No way, dude. This guy's a total G, man.
He realized he couldn't see the instrument panels in front of him, so he took them off. But there's something he couldn't escape, the radiation. He says he could actually taste it in his mouth.
I was in the turn when that happened. Then I tasted it.
And it was like biting on metal.
I tell everybody it's like putting a piece of metal in your mouth and, like a sucker.
22 tons
That's
of
from
TNT
actually.
would
AJ,
strike.
can I just say something right there?
Yeah.
That's actually what he's referring to. What he's talking about. It's not technically radiation, although it is radioactive. That's actually vaporized metal on the ground that's been aerosolized.
Damn.
So that's what they call fallout. Everything that vaporizes from the explosion. That is what you call fallout. That is the ashes from everything that is vaporized on the ground gets tossed up into the air as radioactive dust, and that metallic taste that's very common. People had that at Chernobyl too.
Wow.
And that's largely like how our body biologically responds to some of the byproducts of nuclear fission and fusion.
Wow. Look at that.
Like Hiroshima. In this rare film interview, a week after the bombing, Tibbets describes what his eyes have just seen.
We saw this cloud of boiling dust and debris below us with this tremendous mushroom on top. Beneath that was hidden the ruins of the city of Hiroshima.
The temperature at the center of the bomb reached 120 million degrees.
Damn.
70,000 people are killed. The war ended, but not the dying. Radiation sickness would kill thousands more.
And I've been asked directly, would you do it again? If you give me the same circumstances, I would not hesitate.
City boy, city boy.
Right there, guys. Standing on business. You know what I'm saying? Stand on business, guys. And this type of dedication, guys, that's not saying that he doesn't feel bad about what he did, but he understands that it was his duty to do it. And guys, he's like the sacrifice that it took, the hard decision that it took to make this conflict. And this is something that women will never understand. And that's why they should never be in positions of authority to make these types of decisions ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Well, you contrast, this bombing pilot, right, with like Dr. Oppenheimer, right, who created the Manhattan Project, Los Alamos, the bomb, right? He contrasts this guy in his attitude with Dr. Oppenheimer basically losing it in the office of the president when he was given some award by Truman. And he said that, I feel like my hands are drenched in blood. And the president looked at him And he's like, get the fuck out of my office.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what do you mean? You built this program, you created it and developed it, you succeeded in this, and now you're going to come back and say that you regret it?
Yeah.
No, own it.
If they could have reached us, there would have been zero mercy on us.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, ain't that the truth? Yeah.
There's been no
Boy.
deeply reflective, moralizing going on in Japan or Germany had they had that.
Ask how those poor bastards who reinforced Singapore felt. There was like 200,000 British troops showed up to reinforce Singapore, and their coward of a general surrendered without a shot fired.
Baton, yeah.
Wasn't that the Baton Death March or whatever?
Yes,
Didn't
sir.
even fire a shot.
Yes, sir.
Man, come on, dude. Once again, you're better off. You guys ever see the 13th Warrior? Whatever was it called?
Is that the one with Antonio Banderas?
Yeah. And do you remember once the savages are coming, and the woman puts the kids in the little cellar thing and hands the one woman a knife and says, if the time comes, don't let them be taken. You know what I'm saying? Like, guys, you're better off. You know what they're going to do to you if they take you alive. And this moron let hundreds of thousands of troops, fresh troops, be taken alive by the Japanese.
They were running articles in their newspaper in Japan. There was a contest how many people that they could decapitate. Certain officers. There was a running tally, like almost like a baseball score. They were so twisted.
Yeah. Yep.
And I've never lost a night's sleep.
56 years after the U.S. dropped the atomic bomb, the debate continues about the merits of the mission.
No, it doesn't.
A mission that forever changed the face of warfare and showed what destructive force man is capable of creating. In Columbus, Kevin Landers.
Guys, I don't feel bad at all. I don't, guys. Because once again, why the United States? Oh, this didn't target.
Well, there were a lot of heroes during those battles, but can you pull up John Basilone, AJ, by chance? I sent a link in your private, but I know a lot of guys have heard of him, but special spot in my heart as a fellow Marine.
I like the guy that played him.
In the Pacific.
Yeah.
Where's this story?
On the night of October 24th to 25th, 1942, during the Battle for Henderson Field on Guadalcanal,
Gunnery Sergeant John Basilone was in charge of 2 sections of 30 caliber machine guns, positioned to defend a key choke point against a massive Japanese assault that aimed at retaking the strategically critical airfield. As countless waves of Japanese soldiers launched relentless attacks, one of the machine gun crews were overwhelmed, leaving their weapon inoperable. Under intense enemy fire, Basilone repaired the gun and operated it himself, ensuring a continuous rate of fire that kept the enemy at bay until replacements arrived. When ammunition began running critically low and the supply lines were cut off, he risked his life by making multiple trips through hostile territory to retrieve and distribute supplies to his men. For his exceptional courage and unwavering determination, in keeping with the highest traditions of the U.S. Naval Service, John Basilone was awarded the Medal of Honor.
Yeah, dude.
Well, I just want to point out that that man who earned the Medal of Honor had the choice to live out the rest of his days whoring and selling war bonds in the United States, and instead he re-enlisted to lead soldiers off the landing trip in Iwo Jima, where he died.
Yeah,
that's a pretty short summary, but he took out at least 40 guys on his own, almost.
Yeah.
At least 40 guys on his own.
Yeah, but he was he was one of the quintessential Marines, and he's actually an example. Ironically, going back to one of your first questions about Italians being bad at war, he was Italian, and he was actually very gifted in war.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but he was an Italian American, though. I mean, there's a little bit different, But once again, guys, like by the time well into North Africa, the Italians were just North Africans. Look at this. Okay. Thoughts? They didn't want to fight anymore. Look at that. They're like, no, why are we even here? Look at that, guys.
First, Italy gained from its alliance with Germany. But that wouldn't last. By late 1942, Italy was in trouble. In North Africa, Allied forces landed in Operation Torch. At El Alamein, British troops pushed Axis forces back.
Yeah, El Alamein, they got their cheeks clapped, dude. Seriously.
By May 1943, Italy's armies in Africa had surrendered. At first, Italy...
Yeah, dude, they were terrible.
1943 in history, World War II. German and Italian troops in Tunisia surrendered to the Allies, ending the North African campaign. May 12, 1940.
So, France falls, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Germans take France. They signed the peace treaty on the same train car that they signed the Treaty of Versailles, and they set up the Vichy government, right? Now, did you guys know that there was a time where Vichy France fought the British in the Mediterranean? Technically, there was battles between the French and the British navies.
Well, I believe also when the Americans first landed in North Africa, the French, the Vichy French, were ordered to oppose them, and they did on the beaches.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Here you go. This is Britannica. Hold on. No, I'm trying to find a good map. Yeah,
that engagement. I think I don't remember what African nation they landed in, like Algeria or something like that, but. That engagement was over quickly, but there were like 900 casualties or something like that.
Yeah, it was it at Marseille? I believe it was like in this area here. There was the British had attacked French ships also, so that the Germans couldn't use them. But this was post World War II. I'm sorry, this is post the fall of France. France. So you can see there's occupation zone, the free zone, and then right here, the coast, the Brits had got pushed all the way back, and then had to retreat across the channel.
And look at them now.
Yeah, it's crazy, guys. Isn't it funny how they're during the well, that's a good question to ask, right? Because they're talking about, oh yeah, the Cold War and communism and blah blah blah. Guys, if communists, they did all of this work to fight the communists, and now they're letting the Islamists take over. Isn't it funny how that works, guys? What is going on? You know? Yeah, Vichy France though, and then where were the Brits pushed back to? What was that?
Are you talking in Africa?
No.
Or in Asia?
There's a movie with the name Dunkirk. That was it. You remember they were at Dunkirk, right?
Yeah.
And then they ended up getting back to the UK, and then they had the Battle of Britain.
Yep.
The Battle of Britain is one of the greatest moments in the history of warfare.
Yeah, the RAF is what kept them alive, basically.
Yeah. Yep. Let's do this.
What was the quote? Never have so few made such a difference for so many, or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
We will fight them in the valley. We will fight them in the fields. Right. You know? Guys, these guys were not playing. And it's so funny. You saw, oh, here's an American ace who shot down like 5 planes. Guys, there was British and German pilots that had 200-300 kills, you know? There was no R&R for these guys. They were flying constant missions all the time. Hold on. Let's see. Most kills by World War II German pilot.
That would have been, I think, Rudell.
352 confirmed kills. 352 confirmed kills. 345 Soviet planes, 7 Americans. And then let's do British pilot. 38. So he had the 38, and let's look at an American. He had 40.
So one of the reasons why there's that disparity is that the American and British pilots had the availability to rotate to the rear as new pilots rotated up to replace them. With the Germans, they had a fly until you die policy for their pilots.
Couldn't make enough of them. Yep, they had what they had.
If you started out the war in 1941, they had the saying in the German military saying, "Enjoy the war," because you're in it, till the end. So that explains the disparity there.
But it's still crazy to think, though, like these German dudes just kept flying over and over and over and over again. You know,
They didn't have any other choice.
That's crazy. So then the United States got involved, and it's so funny because do you guys realize how horribly overmatched that the Poles were during World War II?
Yeah, the Poles still had
cavalry.
Right. That's exactly the example I was going to bring. An outmoded method of warfare from World War I, and the Poles were still relying on it.
Yep. They were charging tanks with cavalry.
Yeah.
They were moving most of their material with horses. It was nuts. And they still fought. You know?
Yep. They actually gave the Germans some trouble too.
Yeah.
But the Polish, they were hijacked and handicapped because they had a big portion of their defensive apparatus removed by the Soviet Union. So they were hamstrung. They did not get a fair fight, as you would know, like a fair fight.
But
they were being attacked from both ends.
Yeah, because of the non-aggression pact. But at the same time, even if they were, with the way that the Blitzkrieg worked, dude, it would have just delayed the inevitable. Cheeks would have been clapped. I mean, let's be honest. But
No doubt.
What I still think is funny is that you remember, hold on. Stalin wiped out anyone worth a damn in the Soviet military.
Yep.
And then they had tried to invade Finland, and Finland clapped cheeks.
Yep.
The Soviet army got straight humiliated.
Yeah,
and imagine
they tried twice. They had 2 different incursions in 1939 and then 1940.
Yeah.
And it was a miserable damn performance.
Yeah.
And it's because the Russians are terrible at everything.
Imagine if Matt and Lenny are generals in the Soviet army, and you guys get sent to the gulag because Stalin thinks you're the enemy, right? And then the Soviet army gets beat so bad that all of a sudden he pulls you guys back from Siberia and says, yeah, I need you guys to fight again. You know what I mean? Think about it.
I think that this is interesting because this goes into like a paradigm about the Russians. You know, when it comes to their military, initiative is punishable, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, you brought up the purges. What Stalin didn't think that the military generals that were like effective and good at their job, he didn't think that they were the enemy. He thought that they were like competition for him. They were an internal threat that they could possibly do a coup the way that he had arranged, right? And so anybody that showed, anybody that like
it
that,
even was
that
proactive, all of a sudden,
right? So like, you know, you're seeing people that demonstrate skill and proficiency in their given trade in the military be executed. And like this just goes into like the harebrained ways that the Soviet Union operated, and the incredible waste that it operated its military. It was like ridiculous.
Yeah. But the thing about it too that people they don't understand is he was still under the impression that Mustache Man would never attack him.
Yep, that's true.
Even with all the early warning signs, with all the intercepted communique, with all this, even scouts that had eyes on the ground were sending messages back. It's like the Germans are amassing on our border. No. It was to the point where he said, if I hear any more of this, I'll have you shot.
Yep.
It was that crazy, and then it happened.
Yep. And let's talk about it happening. So like, you know, you brought up tanks and like fighter planes, right? You want to talk about how bad a country could be at war? I think no better example is the Soviet Union. They lost 17,000 tanks, more tanks than all of the rest of Europe had combined. They lost them all in the first year of that war.
Yeah. Look at this, guys.
When a superpower invades a tiny country and gets absolutely wrecked. Welcome to the Winter War of 1939, where Finland embarrassed the Soviet Union. Stalin sent 1 million troops, tanks, and bombers to crush Finland. Meanwhile, the Finns? Skis, white camo, and pure determination. The Soviets? Freezing, lost in the snow, and marching in straight lines like sitting ducks. Then came Simo Heiha, the White Death, sniping 500 plus Soviets like it was a winter sport. After 3 months of disaster, Stalin won, but at a huge cost. 300,000 Soviet casualties and global humiliation. Finland lost land, but kept their independence. Was this the biggest Soviet fail ever? Drop a comment and subscribe before winter catches you on.
There was a...
Russia has attacked Finland. This is not a war.
Look at the losses, guys.
But the most ruthless aggression on a peace-loving, hard-working, and deeply religious people.
Look at that, guys.
Tiny Finland is the latest victim of this unprovoked and ruthless aggression. And its peaceful cities and countryside are soon laid waste by the ravages of the giant bombers whose missiles rain death and destruction.
See, it's like two to one. Look at this.
Destruction from the sky.
It got a lot worse than that.
Yeah.
The tragic yet noble story of a small nation fighting for its life. Long live Finland! Honor to her soldiers! Up Finland! Down with the aggressor! Until a few days ago, this was a modern city of wide streets and tall buildings.
Look at that, guys.
The home of a happy and prosperous people. But the happiness and prosperity have flown. Churches are destroyed. The tall buildings broken. The streets filled with wreckage. This is the mark of warfare against women and children.
Dang, look at that, guys. That's crazy.
AJ, if you wanted to talk about the conditions of like fighting on the Eastern Front, I don't think that there's a better exemplar, like a clip that you could play for your audience than the charge scene from Enemy at the Gates. Like where they're arming every other guy with a rifle and then giving, you know, the ones that didn't get a rifle ammunition and then just throwing them in mass at the Germans, who are armed with machine guns and artillery and aircraft and tanks. And it's like these guys had no chance. The Russians were doing that with their soldiers and throwing them away like that in the Battle of Stalingrad every day.
Well, there was a mission on Call of Duty World at War where you started out. It was you and your friend, and all you had is a clip. And he had the gun. And it's like, oh no! And you got to find a gun in the first part of the game, dude. No, but I was gonna say that, you know, as bad as Stalin was when it came to his generals, what's worse, guys? The fact that the Soviet army was bad and Stalin was bad, or the fact that the Germans had some of the best soldiers, the best generals, right? But they had Dunderhead McGee in charge. Guys, how many times did this knucklehead override his generals and basically say, they were like, look, we need to get this Russia. First of all, the general staff didn't want to invade Russia, period. You know what I'm saying?
Didn't want that many fronts going at the same time. Yep.
Well, they didn't want a war on two fronts.
Yeah.
They always recognized that was their big mistake in World War I.
Yeah. Yep. So, but even invading the USSR, right? The general staff said, "Hey, Napoleon tried to do it. Bad idea, right? Why would we want to do it? It's almost inconceivable to actually think that you can conquer and hold Russia."
Well, the real test for any army is going to be the logistics train, right?
That's true.
Because you have a diminishing return on, like, just think about like gasoline, right? What it takes to keep not only an army moving forward, but that logistics train to supply it. Like, how much in like a gallon of gas are you going to spend of that gallon of gas just getting that gallon of gas to the front? Yeah. How much, like 35%, 40%, as you move farther into Russia, it's going to eat up more of your supplies just getting the supplies there. That doesn't even cover fighting.
Yeah, or food,
right?
Or water.
Well, yeah, just same principle.
Water,
yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So they said, look, we have to have this Eastern Front taken care of before the winter.
Right.
Or we're cooked. We're cooked. We don't have the material. We can't do a protracted war. It's cold, right? So what happened? Was it Guderian?
Yep, Guderian was leading some of their panzer forces, and he often wrote about his frustration in that Hitler would actually turn them around and have them going the opposite way. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
The mustache man. Would turn them around, turn Guderian's panzers around in the opposite direction from Moscow, and send them in directions that added.
But before even that, though, they said, "Look, we're going to charge the panzers ahead, and blast everything, and then have the infantry mop up afterwards, because we need to use as much firepower as quickly as possible." And this dunderhead and like his top advisors that were, in the infantry in World War I didn't understand the concept, even though the Blitzkrieg won them France and up into the Netherlands and all of that. So they said, we're going to hold the panzers back and use them as support for infantry, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah,
they couldn't believe it. Then
I just wanted to just add something in there.
Of Moscow, they can see Moscow. And he says, "Hey, look, we're going to turn to Stalingrad."
What added to their year of success, just to correlate with what you're saying, was the concept of lightning war and maneuver warfare. That's how they were able to surround Russian forces, numbering in the millions, and take them all prisoner.
Yeah. But they didn't do that in the Eastern Front. And then,
they stopped doing that, like in the Battle of Stalingrad.
Yeah.
They stopped you had Hitler, going to what you were saying, intervene and prevent his army from moving.
Yeah. So here you go.
Army had to go through Stalingrad, which would be if you're a soldier and stationed in Stalingrad, then your chance of survival is less than 5%. That's what people say. But why was the Battle of Stalingrad so deadly? Well, Hitler's decision to change the German army's path to the south was a big mistake. On this new route, the German army had to go through Stalingrad, which would be a major defeat for Hitler.
Dumbass.
The Battle of Stalingrad was particularly deadly because the battlefield in the city was impassable for German panzer tanks. This left the infantry trapped in the rear and became easy targets for Soviet snipers, and even makeshift Molotov cocktails were dropped from rooftops. In addition, the selfishness of the two leaders, Stalin and Hitler, who ordered that their troops must continue to fight until the last blood, made the number of...
And what's crazy is the whole fight to the last is the dumbest thing that you can say, because you guys, he who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. You could take your troops. He could have taken an Army Group North and Army Group Center, had them retreat and reform them into a different fighting unit. But instead, they were all but annihilated. People are just so stupid. And guys, the Russians too, because they used to tie ropes around guys' legs to a stake and stake them to the ground and say, if you try and run, the commissars will shoot you. Lenny, man, thanks for handing out a membership, man. Appreciate that. Let's do
always,
this.
dude.
Thanks,
I had a lot
man.
of fun so far tonight.
Appreciate that. Steve, thanks, man. Appreciate the 5 members. No, Steve has been a member for 5 months. Thanks, man. Yeah, guys. So the Russians, even if you look at like the amount of technological innovation that the Russians did from when the war started to when the war ended. Look at the tanks they had at the end, at the airplanes as compared to the beginning. Look at the rifles, all of that stuff, you know, in that short amount of time. Because when did the Eastern Front start?
It was 1941 or 1940.
Yeah, we talk about all these advances, though, and what's the number one advantage, though, we as the U.S. had in most battles? You know this, AJ, probably. What our basic soldier carried, man. He had a semi-automatic weapon, whereas all the other guys still had bolt actions for the most part.
Yeah.
For the most part. I mean, they still had some, but it weren't as widely proliferated as what we had.
Yeah.
Nowhere near.
Yeah, 41 to 45. You look at the difference in Russian weapons, you know, because they had what was the Russian tank? The T-72?
No. For World War II, they would have started out with the BT-7 fast tanks, and they would have ended up with the IS-2 or the Joseph Stalin II.
The T-34.
The T-34 was very, very beginning. That was not yet in production when Hitler invaded. They had examples.
Please stop saying his name. Please. Please. That's twice in a row, dude. Just say anything else. Say like the German guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the T-34 though, that was more towards the end of the war, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, this is an awesome tank, you know, but just this is what they were coming out with towards the end of the war. But this is what conflict does. It makes people innovate. Was it necessity is the mother of invention?
Yep.
Whatever. And then what was the Russian submachine gun?
PPSH.
Yeah. You said, was it PP what?
PPSH.
This is the one that they have the statue of in Stalingrad, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because they say that this saved the city. Because this was the best weapon that they could use for urban warfare at the time.
And it was brutally simple to make.
Yeah.
Made out of pipe parts for drains, made by plumbers. Had an incredible cyclic rate and operated very well in the cold, which was very important. Many German soldiers adopted
this weapon was introduced in World War. War II.
adopted that submachine gun rather than use their own MP40.
Yep.
Action as recently as in Iraq. So this thing has been around for a very long time. Let me show you about this rate of fire. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, that'll do it. You know what I'm saying?
So you see there, that was 32 rounds in just a drop of a hat. It's absolutely insane. Now, I do have a drum magazine. I couldn't get it to work on here, but I think we're going to have a lot of fun today with this 30.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. That's like, you guys know who first used the Tommy gun? The first time it was ever used?
Was it a mob guy?
No, it was so the mob got their hands on the gun before the British United States military did, but the British commandos were actually using these in Vichy, France before our military was. You know, they actually got their hands on these.
How to shoot a Thompson submachine gun in under 60 seconds. The safety on the Thompson is on the left side of the firearm, right above the pistol grip. The selector pointing rearward is safe.
When you see
Locks
them,
in,
there you go.
and back.
That's what you gotta use. You gotta use this bad boy. It looks so weird with the regular clip on it, you know?
Take your drum or stick mag,
Chicago
they'll slide
typewriter.
from either side.
Huh?
The Chicago typewriter.
Yeah,
Yes.
there you go.
Slide the drum in, locks in, and you're ready to fire. To fire the Thompson, aim, flip the safety off, and squeeze the trigger. How to shoot a Thompson.
Look at that, dude. I hope the cameraman's not getting burned by those casings, dude. Ah! But yeah. So Russia's getting his cheeks clapped, right? And then Germany get bogged down at Stalingrad.
Yep.
And Stalingrad, guys, was horrible. It was bad, man, guys. There was people. It was so bad. There was people like eating each other because there was no food.
Yep.
You know, it was nuts. It was absolutely
The battle for
insane.
Stalingrad is famous for the savage brutality of its urban warfare. The average life expectancy of a Soviet soldier at Stalingrad was only 15 days due to intense combat, malnutrition, and the cold Russian winter. Thousands of civilians were also killed during the fighting, with many starving to death in their homes or being forced out into the cold to.
They used to eat like wallpaper and stuff. It's crazy, man. They would catch rats.
Oil their boots. Yeah, all kinds
Yeah,
of craziness.
yeah, it was
man.
nuts.
Perish in the snow.
Yep.
Imagine a
battlefield so desperate that retreat.
And what's crazy is once the Germans broke at Stalingrad. Oh, and also, sorry, they had the Battle of Kursk. Kursk is when things really started.
This
turning
footage
around.
shows the Battle of Kursk, fought from July 5th to August 23rd, 1943, during World War II. It is considered as the largest tank battle in history.
This makes me miss the History Channel so much, man.
Yeah,
It used to be
yeah.
good.
Now the History Channel's trash. Yeah.
This
you imagine
During
how
the Battle of Kursk in July 1943, approximately 1,500 to 1,800 German tanks and assault guns were destroyed, while the Soviet Union lost between 4,000 and 6,000 tanks. During the Battle of
That's crazy. So yeah, so the Kursk happened, and I remember, guys, the entire time, the Soviet Union was calling more and more people from Eurasia. That's when you started seeing people from like Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan, all the Asiatic-looking peoples coming in there. You know, and guys, this is when they started throwing millions and millions of troops at the Germans. Millions. It's crazy. Like the amount. Hold on. Let's see. How many troops I don't know the exact numbers. Okay, let's see. So the Soviet Union, they say, lost 10.7 million. I thought it was more than that.
But you have to add then their civilian casualties.
Okay, this is military losses. They say 10.7 million. Poland had 6 million. Germany had 5.5 million. So Japan had 2 million. United States had 417,000. The British Commonwealth had 373,000. Where's France on here? Or they're just not? Look, this is like a comprehensive list. Oops, sorry guys. I can't make this bigger. Where's France? France had total deaths 567,600. French and Indochina, 1.5 million people died. Total. India had 1.5 million to 2.5 million died. So Japan had, they said total 3.1 million. Yeah. You guys had said about the bombing runs. Yeah, that's right. The Philippines had 1 million. The Soviet Union, look at 24 million people estimated passed away. Damn. There's a civilian deaths, 45 million people.
Yeah,
died.
I was about to say. When it came to the civilian deaths in the Soviet Union, my estimates was like 46.1 million.
It's crazy, huh? And here's the thing, guys. These women, they don't know why us men constantly think about this stuff.
Yeah, how soon we forget this wasn't even 100 years ago, man.
Yeah. And we watch military movies and all this other stuff. And we figure out there's guys that live through this. That's why the conversation about us getting drafted. Well, yeah, when was the last time there was draft? There's still people alive right now that went through a draft. These are guys who never signed up for this. Well, they're still homeless on the streets, missing limbs. You know what I'm saying? They didn't ask to go. They had to go.
The last draft where draftees saw combat was Vietnam.
Yeah, they're still alive.
Yeah.
People act like this was like hundreds of years ago. There's men walking around right now. You can go up, shake their hands, say hi, and they were drafted. That's a thing that people don't understand. It's just these people are just ungrateful. There's nothing worse than an ungrateful, spoiled brat. And guys, put a 1 if you agree. These modern women are the most ungrateful, spoiled, idiotic, narcissistic, moronic, anti-life, anti-family, anti-male, communistic morons that have ever lived. I'm dead ass. Guys, I can't think of a single redeeming quality with these modern chicks in the West. I can't think of one at all. Morons.
Selfish to the core, dude.
Yes. Now, guys, there was so then we had the hold on, look at this. Soft underbelly. So what they don't talk about, guys, is when the Allies attacked Italy.
Oh yeah,
guys, there was a whole war, like a whole bunch of battles fought to take over Italy, to actually take Italy out of the war.
Yep, 1943.
Yeah, people never talk about this ever. This.
Why did Italy perform so badly in World War II? The Italians didn't have enough tanks against their vehicles. They also had terrible generals and officers that used outdated tactics. Plus, Mussolini wore these sunglasses, which made thousands of fashion-sensitive Italian soldiers.
In 1940, joined World War II and instantly became a liability. They invaded Greece, failed, attacked Egypt, failed, tried holding Africa, failed. Germany had to keep bailing them out, even delaying Hitler's invasion of Russia to clean up Mussolini's mess. By 1943, the Allies invaded Italy, and Italy surrendered. But then Germany invaded them.
Yep.
Italy fought on both sides of the war and lost on both. Mussolini promised glory, but delivered disaster.
And
Was a
then
lot.
He got stung up by his own people.
Oh yeah, rightly so.
Yep.
Tying with Italy Hitler's biggest mistake in World War II? Italy wasn't a strong ally. It was a reckless one. In 1940, Mussolini invaded Greece without telling Hitler.
Moron.
The attack failed. Germany had to intervene, invading the Balkans just to save Italy. That delay pushed back Operation Barbarossa by several crucial weeks.
Which was already a bad plan.
Some historians argue that this
Talk
delay
about a buddy
cost
effort,
Hitler.
man. Yeah.
Say again?
I said, talk about a buddy effort.
I know, right?
The war, trapping German troops in the Russian winter. Then came North Africa.
Yeah.
Mussolini's failed campaign forced Hitler to send the Africa Corps under Rommel, draining troops and resources from the Eastern Front. And in 1943, after Mussolini was overthrown, Italy switched sides.
Italy got off the easiest. Well, I shouldn't say easiest. They lost 500,000 soldiers, but they were out of the war by 1943 because they came up with a slick trick that if you were an Axis power and you were going to lose and you flip sides and say that you never voted for Mussolini and you got rid of him, which they did in July of 1943 with this puppet government, then we felt, well, who were we fighting when we got into Italy? We were fighting Germans, but Germans were fighting Italians, and Italians were fighting us, but Italians were helping us. British were fighting Italians, Germans were fighting British. It was a mess. Italy was the only battleground. We only fought in Germany for 3 months. We never fought on the ground in Japan. We fought for 2.5 years in Italy. Give them a break. So we kept the Soviets out. We did not trisect the country. We did not make them surrender very much territory in the north, and they were our allies almost immediately. Italy got off the
crazy, right? They were the worst. People talk bad about France, dude, but the Italians were the absolute worst, right? So, guys, what happened, right? Normandy happens, right? The Allies land. The Russians are clapping cheeks on the Eastern Front. Then the Germans retreat to their own territory, right? And they go scorched earth, and they're destroying everything on their way out. You know, French, Polish fields are burned and covered in salt. All the railways are all messed up. The guys, they said, if we can't have it, no one can. And they just completely went scorched earth. Now, mind you guys, in Poland, they had been terrorizing Poland. You guys ever hear of that one division of that one sick colonel guy that they sent with all these murderers and insane asylum guys through Poland and the Ukraine to like terrorize the people, the Germans?
Yes, you're talking about the 5th SS group, and that was the Death's Head. They when there was an uprising, that was the group that was deployed. They were deployed mostly for internal security.
Yeah, these guys were nuts.
Yes, they were literally recruited from insane asylums. Many of their frontline soldiers.
Oops, I stopped showing.
Italy got off the easy.
Oh yeah, so guys, so needless to say, the Soviets, they had a bone to pick, right? They had an axe to grind, and they were going to push and get Berlin before the United States and the British were. Now, guys, you guys have heard the stories that a whole bunch of the Germans were actually running west to be taken prisoner by the Allies, right? By the British, yeah, because they did not want to be taken prisoner by a bunch of bloodthirsty Russians, dude. No way, dude. Nope. You know,
well, there was no return for any German POWs even after the war. Like a sad statistic of like the 91 or 93,000 German soldiers that surrendered in Stalingrad, less than 5,000 of them were eventually repatriated back to Germany after the war. And this is like 10 years after the war.
Yeah.
No, most of them died in Vorkuta.
Yep. Well, this guy.
This historical footage showcases the fall of Berlin.
when the Red Army gradually took control of the entire capital, marking one of the last major offensives of World War II.
Guys, the generals knew it was hopeless, but they still let the people fight, because the people of Germany were so brainwashed at the time, right? They honestly believed that there was going to be some Hail Mary or some miracle or some super weapon that was going to be used to win the war. And guys, think of this: if they have the little kids out there fighting, they have the old men out there fighting, they had 12-year-olds out there fighting. Yep. If that would have happened in Germany, imagine how Japan would have went.
It would have been the same thing. This concept was called total war.
Yeah.
By both the H-man, the mustache man, and the Emperor of Japan.
Yep, it's true. Yep, this. You know who else were badasses? Were the partisans in like Yugoslavia and stuff. You know what I'm saying? All those guys.
Yeah,
dude, those guys, they were fighting the Germans and stuff. And dude, they if you actually watch their whole story, all the freedom fighters up there, dude, man, they were doing all types of crazy stuff. And they never snitched on each other. One of them, they would get caught and be like, "Boy, if you don't, yeah, well, then take me out, then, because I'm not saying anything," you know. So
yeah, that's what that game I'm playing right now is based on. Yep,
really?
Exactly. It's really fun.
No, but I don't.
So if you guys are into strategy games, it's called Forgotten but Not Broken.
When there was a whole bunch of Polish guys that managed to escape Poland when the Germans and the Russians took Poland. And they actually went up to Scotland. They made it to Scotland and rearmed and were actually, being deployed along with the British. That's why there's so many Polish people up in Scotland to this day, right? But did you guys know that after the war was over, a bunch of them were given the choice to either go back to the UK or go to Poland, and some of them actually chose to go to Poland? Do you guys know what happened to those guys? Anyone want to guess?
They were executed.
Huh?
They were executed.
Yeah, guys. Because they were freaking tainted by Western values or whatever. So you do all this stuff to survive the first battles of Poland, and then you get all the way into Britain. You rearm, you fight your way, you live through the entire war, and then you think, "Oh, well, I'm going to go back to Poland, where it's going to be nice and peaceful," and then you end up getting dropped off that truck, and the Soviets pull out those guns on you. And
you've been had, you've been took, you've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok.
For Berlin was characterized by slow house-to-house street fighting. These were not the open plains of Belorussia. Numbers and tanks counted for little in the tight streets. The Soviet approach was to bring forward armored artillery and simply demolish any buildings containing German resistance.
Damn.
This was a living nightmare for the millions of German civilians and refugees trapped in the
I have something to add here.
Everyone left was pressed into service, digging trenches. Boys as young as 11 were sent to the front line.
Damn.
Any civilians caught lingering or deserting were executed on the spot. Even the tunnels of the S-Bahn, the Berlin Underground train system, were demolished and flooded to prevent the Soviets from using them.
Damn.
So, I talked to you earlier about my Hungarian heritage, and so I've gone to Eastern Europe a number of times. When you go to these older Eastern European cities, like Budapest, when you're in the city and you're looking at some of the buildings, they will still have the pockmarks from the T-34 76 millimeter guns that they used to bombard the city. You can see still to this day the scars of war that are on those buildings still. I thought that that was like a fascinating part of the character of the city, because it's like that was like that was something that each of these cities weathered. They weathered through these campaigns, and the Russians, they didn't just blow up buildings with survivors or German soldiers in them. They leveled everything.
Yeah.
The artillery was their red god of war. And that was their approach to warfare, was just simply to level and annihilate everything in their path.
Yeah.
So I found that very interesting when I was in Eastern Europe.
Well, it's still crazy, guys, because look, once again, this map right here, right? Russia, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Austria, Hungary, Romania, Serbia, Greece, the Ottoman Empire, right? And then look at this. Look at this: Germany, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary. Look at the difference. Latvia, Lithuania. I mean, these are all we're all part of the USSR. No, sorry, this is right after, right? But then these all became Soviet republics, right? So Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, they were all basically part of the USSR at this point, like all this area here. So, and then you see Turkey is there because the Ottomans were gone. But guys, it's so funny that once again, the Arabic colonization, it was probably the largest and far reaching colonial, like longest and farthest reaching colonial effort in history, and nobody talks about it.
Well, it's interesting because you talk about like Istanbul. Istanbul used to be the center of Orthodox Christianity.
Yeah. Yep.
That entire area, that entire region was Christian, and it was converted by the sword. So yes, and even to this day, when you go and you talk to Muslims, they will talk. They have the same perspective that the Chinese do, where the Chinese believe that because China in some dynasty owned some part of Southeast Asia, that they then are entitled to all of Southeast Asia. The Muslims believe the same thing. And when you ask them about Spain and what Spain is, they will call it Andalusia, because that's what Muslims called Spain when they invaded it from North Africa. And it's the same attitude. It was because it was once ours. It is ours from now on.
Yeah. Yep. And I just find it funny that the wokes, they don't know anything about anything. And because I'm not saying the Europeans are perfect, obviously, but the Arabization of everywhere from Morocco all the way to like Azerbaijan is absolutely insane. You know? And you can't act like they all just decided, hey, we're all going to try and speak Arabic and be Muslims all of a sudden. You guys remember how I said that it's crazy that we talk about Rome like it was a different place than Italy? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like we act like Rome. You guys remember on The Sopranos when the Jewish guy is like something about the Romans? He's like, yeah, but where are they now? And Tony Soprano goes, you're looking at them, right? Rome is in Italy, right? Guys, think about it. But we talk about Mesopotamia like it's not around.
Some mythological thing or something.
Yeah. It's still there. Egypt too. When we talk about Egypt, we talk about it like it was a completely mythical place.
Well, yeah. I mean, you look at the all of the 300 series, or they talked about the Greeks fighting the Persians. Those are the Iranians.
Yep.
That's what they're talking about. The Iranians and the Iraqis. That's where the Persians were from.
Guys, here's the thing: the Iranians, Iraqis, whatever, they're not Arabs. They're not. People that are actually Arabs are from like the UAE area. They're from the Saudi area, whatever. Those are the only ethnic Arabs there are. All the rest are the Mesopotamians, the Sumerians, the Assyrians, right? That's what they ethnically are. They were just Arabized culturally and then forced to become Muslims, you know? So yeah, so guys. So then the Mustache Man, it is in his bunker. He takes himself out, right? And hold on. And the war is over in Europe. But then, guys, let's talk about. Now, guys, do we all accept the fact that that our government knew about Pearl Harbor and let it happen? Does anyone agree with me? That the FDR knew about Pearl Harbor, or they knew that there was going to be an attack that day?
It depends on how you're defining that. But I generally know where you're going with this. Can I just make one little observation before we move on?
Yeah.
You asked before about Mustache Man and Stalin. Which one was worse? And I just wanted to observe the war was won and lost. World War II, speaking, in spite of Mustache Man and Stalin. They didn't. I don't think that either man added to their capabilities as nations. I think that they only acted to take away from what their militaries were capable of. You asked that question earlier. That would be my answer.
Yeah, both of them didn't help their militaries out a lot. You know what I'm saying? Guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the super chat button, hit the join button, guys. Thanks for that. But yeah, guys, so
attacked Pearl Harbor. Back in the 1930s, Japan was quickly expanding. In the Southeast Asia wanted to secure the natural resources that mainland Japan didn't possess. In 1931, Japan invaded the Chinese province of Manchuria, very rich in coal, iron, and oil. The next obvious step for Japan.
And guys, here's the crazy thing about Manchuria. Guys, if you were Japanese, you didn't have a choice. They would say, hey, guess what? Lenny-san, you and your family are getting on a boat and you're going to be on a farm in Manchuria. By royal decree, you got relocated from like Nagasaki or Osaka to middle of nowhere Manchuria.
Nice. Just give me my fish heads and rice and I'll be happy, dude.
But yeah, guys, I honestly believe that there was early warning signs that this would happen. And FDR knew that that a military conflict would pull the United States out of the Depression. You know, it would jumpstart our manufacturing economy. And yeah, so say it is what it is. I mean, you're trying to tell me that all of our aircraft carriers just happened to be out to sea that morning, you know? Just wink, wink, hint, hint. Come on, man, you know? So
was the attack on the rest of China. Although at the beginning the war went well for Japan, it transformed in a stalemate. With Japan shifting its attacks to Indochina, the US quickly felt that his dominance in the Pacific was threatened and responded with an embargo on its exports to Japan. This was followed by Britain and the Netherlands. Thus, Japan lost 94% of its vital oil supply. The only option for Japan was to take the resources by force from British Malaya and the Dutch East Indies. But they were sure that US will respond its invasion with force. That's why Japan decided to completely destroy the US Pacific Fleet by attacking it on its main base, Pearl Harbor, and shift the Pacific dominance to their side.
Yeah. Oops, that didn't work.
When the first planes came across the...
Yeah, so guys, Japan, with their goal of expansion, the Pacific Ocean just wasn't big enough. It wasn't, you know? And I'm not trying to disrespect what the guys in Europe went through, but what the guys in the Pacific went through was a completely different ballgame. It was brutality on a completely different scale. You know, that's why a lot of guys in the Pacific really don't talk about what they went went through. Not trying to say that the guys in Europe were bragging, obviously, you know, but the type of combat, the type of just absolute insanity that they dealt with was just, plus what it was hot, you know, malaria, you know, all the tropical diseases and all that stuff that they had to deal with, having to go ashore on multiple islands under fire. You know, it was crazy, guys. So, yeah, guys, World War II. Once again, there's this weird thing where people just seem to have forgotten how and why these conflicts happen. I guess so the United States and the USSR were the two major powers for so long that we've gotten used to these proxy wars like Vietnam, whatever. Or like we had, wasn't it? There's a fact that there was actually more fighting in Iraq in the 2000s than there was in World War II. But with World War II Europe, but there was we're such a mobile war now with helicopters and planes that it's war moves around so much. But I actually, well, let me see if I can look at that stat.
It might have been that the American military was able to make more progress in Iraq than they were in Europe because we were much more of a mobile force. But there were very much larger pitched battles that took place in Europe.
I think it was more. There was some. Maybe it was the amount of engagements, but that's not too crazy because once again we have like planes and helicopters and everything, so it's not the same. Whereas before World War II, we still had men marching from place to place. Still, you know what I'm saying? You know, there was trucks, but oftentimes you had to actually get out and march like for 20 miles. You know what I'm saying? Because. Yep. What do we think? I don't even know how the next World War would kick off. I know that. Hey, Lenny, did you ever play or read End War?
Tom Clancy?
Yeah.
Years and years ago. Yep.
Have you heard of this, Matt?
Yes. Played the game too.
I think. Russia invades Canada, right?
There was a better novel that Tom Clancy did called Red Tide Rising.
Yeah.
And that was like about like a World War III armored combat, Fulda Gap. Like it was like exactly how it would have played out had the Soviet Union and NATO gone to war. And that series was phenomenal.
Yeah. I think that people nowadays have just gotten too soft, and they don't understand. There's bad people out there who want to do bad things, and even if there are good people out there, like there's good people who want your stuff. They're like they have the best intentions. They just don't line up with yours.
Well, you know,
they have the best intentions for themselves. You know what I'm saying?
To go right along with that, I was discussing like the Arab Palestinian thing with somebody on X, and they were asking me why I was sticking up for one side or the other, and I said, you know, when I think about like my experiences, and this goes right along with what you were saying, what made the decision for me and what still makes the decision for me was 9/11. On that day, I remember watching Americans get slaughtered by, you know, lunatics who hijacked aircraft, and I remember the news media showing this clip of people in the Gaza Strip dancing around and celebrating as the towers fell,
like they won the World Cup or something. Exactly.
Yes. They were handing out candy, and it's like, you know, not all cultures are equal. Some of them are worse than others. I would never celebrate.
Wait. Let's pump the brakes. Dude, that's the thing that drives me the most crazy with these wokes now. To even suggest that some cultures are better than others. Guys, what do we hear?
How dare you?
Guys, I would argue. Guys, it's so funny because we are red pill guys, right? So we're not the biggest into women's rights, but we agree that women should have some rights, right? You know what I'm saying? Guys, we joke about how you know, the Saudis and the women driving, right? Because we can say that any culture that where women have to completely cover themselves, inferior. Any culture where they chop off women's, you know, smitteruses, you know, inferior. We can say that any culture that marries girls at 8 years old to grown ass, inferior. We can say that any culture where they, you know, essay little boys because it's a loophole in their religion, inferior, right?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, this is
absolutely
not rocket surgery here. So keep going.
Well, and I just want to point this out. You have, you know, the people in college that are going and demonstrating for the people in Gaza. The people in Gaza would happily throw those people off of a building.
Sure.
For one of their very many crimes against Islam.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they're going and they're picking like the biggest group of, no, excuse my language, assholes in the world, and they're like demonstrating them as victims. No, these guys in Gaza are not victims. You don't torture and then brutally slaughter hundreds of unarmed women and children, and think that that's going to be a revolutionary act or get you anything other than a war. They knew what they were doing. They wanted to start this war.
Is NF, you know, Smick Smuntez, you know what I'm talking about? NF.
Yep.
He was funny because he was like, I was against small hats before it was cool to be before colleges started teaching to be anti-small. But guys, check this guy out. Watch. Oops. Watch.
English flags being in England. I fully don't get it. Like, where else in the world should these English flags be if not England? The worst thing is, it's a lot of English people that are complaining about the flags. They're fully seeing their own country flags, and instead of being proud of where they're from and their country, they're actually getting triggered by their own country flag. Right. It makes no sense. Everywhere in the world, people are allowed to be proud of where they're from. I've been to so many different countries, and every country is allowed to have their flag up and be proud of where they're from. England's the only country in the world that if you're proud to be English, you're automatically racist.
In America.
It's mad. I fully don't get it. Like, if you see a Spanish man walking down the street with a Spanish flag, it's fine. A Russian walking down the street with a Russian flag, fine. An English man walking down the street with an English flag, oh my God, he's a racist. Instantly. And I never understood that still. If you actually think about it, yeah, the English flag's actually the opposite of racism, because the English government are helping people from all over the world, except from English people. Yeah. That's the whole point. Like, it fully makes no sense to me that there are English veterans sleeping on the streets. English veterans that literally bled blood for this country, went to war for this country, are now homeless and have nowhere to go. But then the English government give 5-star hotels to random people from different countries that they don't even know. That is literally like me going around and giving food to every child in my neighborhood, feeding all the kids in my neighborhood. And then I go back home and then my children are starving. But I don't care about my children. I'd rather feed every other child. That is crazy. So with that being said, I think there should be English flags in England, obviously. The same way there should be Ghanaian flags in Ghana and Indian flags in India. This is perfectly normal. So when I'm seeing people kicking off about it, it fully makes no sense. There are people kicking off about...
Oh, guys, here, whoa, wait, hold on a second, guys, hold on. Let's do this quick. Any closing words about World War II, guys? And we'll revisit this, but...
yeah, guys, a nice change of pace, man. It was really cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna do more topics like this. So I want to do I think Thursday, guys, we're gonna talk about just food in general, like the food industry. I'm sorry, Tuesday. It's like the food industry and how the whole body positive thing because we talked about that, but we haven't talked about just how backwards that the West is, well, the United States is, how people just somehow think that you have to have privilege to be thin. It's like, dude, 90% of the world is thin.
Yep.
We're like, not us, but people are so Americentric that they think that like poor people are just big. Africa, South America, Asia, they're all thin. What are you talking about? Insane. Guys, hold on. Let's do this. We change up the ambiance a little bit. Guys, make sure to drop a like on the stream. Hit the super chat button, guys. Thanks for the Cash Apps. Here we go.
That's the sound of the police.
Guys, look at this. Guys, yeah, you guys know how I said if anyone ever spits on me, I'm not responsible for my actions, right? Guys, this motherfucker throws a cup of piss on a cop. Guys, I swear for the Lord, I'd be in jail. Guys, they would be giving me the death penalty because I would not stop until this person was in the ground. Here we go.
What you see here is a woman.
Oh! Oh no!
Oh!
Jesus Christ!
She was well hydrated for that much.
Sister Mary Francis, right in his face. Look at that! Look at that, guys!
My question is, how did she like gather that? Like, did she know that she was gonna get pulled over and had it just in case, or did she like pee into the cup?
Dude,
while they were trying to get in her window?
Disgusting. Someone says that's one of the nastiest things I've seen in a long time.
Dude, that's a crazy freeze
Someone
frame you
says
got right there, dude.
He didn't urinate into the cup. That when he was standing there, that means she was driving around with a cup of piss. Look at
But your boy's been doing a little bit of boozing.
Oh,
like on
no.
Dumb and Dumber.
Look at that, guys. Someone said that would piss me off.
Yeah. It was just a wee bit, AJ. Just a wee bit.
Just a wee bit, right? Oh no!
In a stolen car who decided to put pee and poop in a big gulp cup and splash.
No! There's a pickle in there too. No!
No, dude, look at that! Look at that!
That's nasty. Officers with their own urine.
The car! Now!
Here's how it all went down. Officers with the Edmond Police Department got a hit on a stolen vehicle out of Nebraska. The day before, they had seen the same vehicle.
Ohio, Nebraska, Florida.
Vehicle in a hotel parking lot, but were unable to read the tag. The following day, officers spotted the same woman again. After confirming the stolen car, they moved in and blocked the vehicle in.
I-76
Well, they shouldn't have pissed her off.
Ma'am.
You're on it.
Ma'am, get out of the car. Get out of the car. This car's reported stolen. Turn the car off and get out of the vehicle.
That's not what happened.
Get out of the car.
And officers 1033 is Alicia.
Get out of the vehicle. No. Get out of the car. Ma'am, get out of the car. You're going to hit my police car. Get out of the car. It's right behind you. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. You have a baton. Give me your baton. Oh, no, dude. Oh, no.
Oh my god.
Ma'am, get out of the car.
Don't reach for anything. Get out of the car.
Oh fuck! Oh Jesus Christ! Oh no! Oh no!
Get out of the car.
Oh.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh my god, dude!
It's so disgusting. Look at that, dude. Look at that.
Oh my goodness,
Now,
dude!
get out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out. You better put that down. Get out of the car.
Let's put you in a taser.
Oh, please. Oh, wait. What's that?
Stop.
On the ground. Is that poop?
I'm going to tase you. I'm going to tase you.
Now you gotta suck it.
Yes.
Get out of the car.
Ride the lightning, baby.
Yeah.
Sabers ring, are you listening? In the lady's nose listening. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Sparky gets them every time.
Let's go. Let's go.
Like, do you remember that special that Chris Rock did, like maybe in the 1990s, where it's like, if you run from a cop and you make him sweat, you know he's bringing an ass whooping with him. You know, just imagine, like, take that concept, that paradigm, and apply it to this situation. This would be curtains. This would be curtains, like straight up. So, like, this is like life-changing assault by, bodily fluids. You're gonna get aired out.
Yeah, I'd be rubbing her face in the concrete, dude.
Yeah, no. You're just getting put down. No. No. If I gotta light your vest on fire, you're gonna die.
Man. Yuck.
What a find on this video, dude.
No.
And I usually see most of these.
Move. Don't move. Get out. Get out of the car now. Get on the ground.
Yes. Make her lay in her own piss. Let's go. Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go.
Now. Get on the ground.
Yeah. Roll around in there.
Nice.
Disgusting.
I don't know what the hell you just threw on me, but that was incredibly stupid.
Can I pull these out? I leave it. Leave it in? Okay.
She peed her bed, Mirimex.
What?
She didn't make it.
Yeah, there's one in 3. One hit the window.
Ugh. So gross. That's so gross, guys.
What is it? Nice.
It's on his body cam. Oh fuck! Look, guys, his body cam's covered in piss. Oh no! Oh no, guys! When was the last time that we saw anything this crazy?
Yeah, he needs his full hazmat decontamination,
Seriously,
dude.
man.
This is in Oklahoma, bro. They're not used to dealing with nonsense like this. I guarantee you.
Yeah, they are. There's meth heads out there. We all know meth heads and junkies are out of Oklahoma. You said, what do I wash myself off with?
Gotcha.
I'd strip down to my skivvies right there, dude.
Yeah.
I'd be down to my drawers.
That's so disgusting, dude. Demons, man. They're demons. Look at the size of this female cop right here, guys. Guys, do you think any of these cops that we've seen can can pass anything that resembles a PT test? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Go ahead, 521.
Threw piss on us.
Look at him. You pissed right my
stuff, man. I'll hold this, man.
Right in my face.
Oh, I got you. I don't know if I have anything on me.
Dude. Guys, they should get like 4 or 5 stomps
What's her name?
for that.
Okay.
Yeah, at least she's
Is it
still
Nicole?
sitting there in it.
We'll get it. And
Nicole.
from what room?
Ah, he's washing his mouth out. Ah!
I think it just splashed on me. I'll probably have to change it.
450.
She hit you directly.
Yeah. I thought she was. I couldn't tell what she was doing there.
Check a 76 Stanford Brian.
I couldn't tell exactly what it was.
The red Honda Civic.
I was hoping it was Coke.
Yeah. Okay, please. Come on.
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
It was originally, till it got processed.
Disgusting.
580, and then I'll get that. 10-4.
Cops don't get paid enough, dude. That's disgusting.
No.
EMS was called and the woman was taken to the local hospital for a cut on her hand. When she woke up, officers charged her with a felony and she was given no bond.
Good.
As for the officer involved, he turned out to be okay.
Ugh. Okay. All right, guys, I'll be in after hours. So whoever wants to hang out a little bit after hours, guys, meet me there. But yeah, guys, any type of these topics that you want me to do, drop them in the request tab in the Discord, man. You know. But guys, once again, I think for any of these topics where it's like historical, political, whatever, guys, we'll probably do the calls just for Discord members only, and then if the chat gets too crazy, we'll go to members only. You know what I'm saying? Because guys, I can't put the channel at risk having too many dunderheads either try and call in or put stupid stuff in the chat. So, but all right, guys.
Understood.
So, all right, guys. I appreciate you guys. Take it easy. Bye, guys.